So I said, you know what got me was the text.
You'll be on the same towers
Goes,
as
yeah,
the
they got
carriers
your
use, so you'll get the same
phone
5G
number,
service
email address.
without the inflated price. So hang on to your Benjamins and switch to Pure Talk for a Jackson and a Lincoln. No contract, no hidden fees. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll get 50% off your first month when you switch. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe, for an American wireless is truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
More doors are open for Open Door. I'm Chris Davis. You might know someone who has experienced domestic violence or abuse of some kind. Many times they need a place to stay when they escape that kind of abuse, and Open Door Network provides that here in Bakersfield. Now the City Council, on a 5-1 vote Monday, approved spending $2.5 million to help that nonprofit expand their facility. They plan to build out a 74,000 square foot campus with 4 buildings and a capacity to serve 350 people at a time. Meanwhile, thanks to action by the City Council Wednesday, it appears as if much of the Bakersfield PD vehicle fleet will get an upgrade. The city approved bids for 29 SUVs to replace 29 of them that are 13 years old and have plenty of mileage and wear and tear. The new fleet is made up of Ford Interceptors, which cost about $50,000 apiece for a total of about $1.5 million. Zach Scrivener is good to go for another month. He was in court this morning for a compliance hearing to determine whether he was abiding the terms of his mental health diversion, meaning getting counseling and following the court order to report back. And the judge determined that he was doing it by the book. If you are a military veteran, and it doesn't matter which branch, you are exactly who the Bakersfield Honor Guard is looking for to help provide military funeral ceremonies. Right now, that group has a serious shortage, and they need new members to be able to keep honoring veterans and military members with the playing of taps, the 3-rifle volley, and the folding of the flag. The group says the bugler position is open, and that does not have to be filled by a veteran. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour, and when it
Chris, on what time is it? What time is everything? What's the first spot? Huh, Mike?
Yeah, Big Mike.
At what time?
Right now, or at 3:15.
3:15?
Yes.
I can't hear anything.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody. And a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, however you may be viewing, for those subscribing on YouTube. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Thursday, 2/26/26. Closing out Black History Month and the month of February, and headed into March, St. Patty's Day, and the following Monday, the 4th annual Honor Flight Open. Just go to honorflightopen.com. Don't forget, we're going to be auctioning off a twosome that'll get to play with Mr. Flores and I. There's a couple of different things at the tournament. We got a busy show on this Thursday. A new poll came out today, and yet again, a gubernatorial poll, and yet again, a Republican is leading the way. And we're getting closer and closer to June when the primary occurs on the 6th. We'll get into that. And Zach Scrivener was in court today. We'll give you the results of that. And speaking of Zach Scrivener, at the bottom of the hour, Lauren Skidmore from the Open Door Network. She was in Sacramento yesterday with Shannon Grove, and or was that Tuesday? Was it Tuesday? Tuesday. They were in Sacramento on Tuesday when Mr. Scrivener's oldest son told his story along with his mother, Christina. And there's some good news for the Open Door Network that Lauren will share with us as well. It is a Thursday, so Mike Turnipseed will be here at 4 o'clock. And our money man, Daniel Petrie, living saint, I'll explain later, will join us at 4:30. And more pressure on Tony Gonzalez. No, not that Tony Gonzalez, congressman out of Texas, who had an affair with his staffer, who literally engulfed herself in flames and despair. You'll hear from her husband, who uncovered the affair through, of course, 21st century text messages. How people, let me just say this. If you're having an affair, don't text your mistress, or what do you call the man? Your mister? I don't know. Your boo?
Side piece.
Side piece. Don't text. That's how everybody gets caught. Or in my case, sending pictures. I was dating two girls at once, and the one girl wanted me to break up with the other girl. So the one girl, who never did this, started sending me lurid pictures. And exactly what happened is what she wanted to have happen, because she fessed later on. And my other girlfriend found it. And I was in the shower, and I came out like, "What's wrong with you?" And she held up my phone. Next thing you know, I was sitting on her porch with all my belongings at 1:30 in the morning, waiting for a cab. That's how long ago it was. I was waiting for a cab. That is so funny. I just have this picture of me, because she kind of lived in the ghetto. She lived off K Street over there by Wilson. And I'm just sitting, I'm like, I have my golf clubs, and I've got just everything I own sitting on this woman's porch. And I just kept thinking, I'm going to get robbed. Some gangbanger is going to come down the street on a bicycle and be like, "Give me your golf clubs." I thought that was funny. But we will hear from her husband. And did you see our favorite couple, Chris? Who's our favorite couple?
Jack and Shadow?
Did you see?
They have another one?
Yes, they got an eaglet, an egg, a baby, whatever the hell you want to call it. And yes, I'm that excited. And maybe I don't know whether I'm going to reach out. Maybe too early to reach out, because I panicked. Because 17, the morning show, monitors this just as much as we do, and the egg was left empty. By the way, have you seen the video of the ravens grubbing on the eggs that failed?
I know.
Yeah, there's video. Yeah, there's video. I had never seen it till last night, but there's video of the raven, and you can see him. He pecks at the egg, and then he's like, because the eagle will mess you up, Jack. Come in with those claws on a raven. You know what I'm saying? And so he's like looking out and keeps pegging and looking out. So then I wake up this morning, I watch the morning news, and they normally, I told you, because I used to be in television, that it's called the kicker. It's the last story of the broadcast. And it will be one of three things. Watch tonight if you think I'm lying. It'll either be about animals, food, or children. They don't want to end on, finally tonight, Ralph Bailey was murdered. No, it's called a kicker. And it's always something nice. It's either food, children, or animals. And they had a shot at the end of the broadcast of the nest, and the egg was by itself. I was like, "Come on, Jackie, where are you?" I know what Shadow's doing. He's hovering over the lake trying to catch some fish. But Jackie, you gotta be on that egg.
Where is the woman also? Or there's a female also hunt?
That's a good question. And maybe if we have Miss Loris was her name, because the other woman passed away. The other woman, the Friends of Big Bear Valley, passed away.
Oh,
remember?
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
Oh, you know what? We did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, she passed away. Sandy was her name. But that's a good question. I think we're going to book her tomorrow. I think I'm going to call it a 7. In fact, I might just text her or email her during the break. And what else? Oh, we're going to end up our Black History Month. We've got 2 more days. And I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but I don't think you know a lot about Frederick Douglass. You know of Frederick Douglass, but I don't think you guys know much about Frederick Douglass. And we're going to culminate Black History Month tomorrow with the greatest African-American I ever met. Who is that, Chris Burdick?
Muhammad Ali?
No.
No?
Think deep now. The greatest Black man I ever met, ever knew.
Your father?
Ralph Emerson Bailey Sr. That's who our bio will be tomorrow. I figured that'd be an appropriate way to end Black History Month. I'll give you the life and times of dear old dad. who I had a dream about the other night. I had a really pleasant dream the other night. I dreamt that we were fishing in South Carolina. My father and I had never gone fishing in our lives. I've gone crabbing with my father and my grandfather, which is a ball. Have you been crabbing, Chris?
You know, I've never been crabbing now.
Oh, it's so much fun, dude. The Southern way. Now, I know you Rhode Island, you Maine people, they put out baskets and they just haul it up. But no. In Beaufort, South Carolina is what you do, Chris. You get a chicken back. A chicken back, because my grandmother would let my grandfather use like the meat of the chicken.
Yeah.
But the chicken back, which has very little meat on it. And you tie that to a rope that's about, I don't know, maybe about 20 yards long. And you have a stick at the end of the rope. And you take the rope like a cowboy. That was my favorite part when I was 10 years old. And you throw it in the ocean. And you're about knee high in the ocean, right? And you slowly roll the chicken back up.
Right.
And the funnest part for a little kid, because, you know, I've been fishing, but I'd never been crabbing before until my grandfather took me when I was 10 years old. And you actually see the crab following the chicken as you roll it up. And then you got to have two people. You can't do it by yourself. And the second person lays the net down at the bottom of the ocean. Because again, you're about knee high. And you roll it up and you pull the chicken and the crab into the net, and they pull it up like that, throw it on the ground, you put your foot on the back of the crab, you grab it from behind the pinchers, you throw it in the bucket, you come home with 20 crabs. My grandmother's got the dining room table all newspapered out. She cooks it. That's the worst part when you're 10 years old, because they like scream. They like make a noise, and you hear them fighting. And that's the old phrase. The cliche comes from, I forget what the cliche is, but it comes from all the crabs trying to push each other down to get to the top.
Right.
And there's a cliche about that life, that you push other people down, and you hear them in there fighting to get out. And you're just like, oh. That's like when I go to you go to a really nice restaurant, they tell you to choose your lobster. I'm like, no, I don't want to see it alive. I want it on my. It's like picking the cow for my fillet. I don't know, no. But my grandmother. It's the only time my grandmother would touch with liquor, because she used beer as part of the thing. And man, lay that sucker out and just sucking on crabs and my youth. But we begin with the Public Policy Institute of California survey that came out today. They have 4 candidates that are all within 4 percentage points. And I'm telling you, these Republicans, Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton, aren't going anywhere. And Eric Swalwell and Katie Porter aren't going anywhere. And we're now zooming in on June, Jack. It'll be March on Monday. So March, what do we got? March, April, May, June, 4 months. This thing is fast approaching, and the numbers aren't changing. We had Chad Bianco on yesterday, the Riverside County Sheriff, who said that a poll, because I had asked him about controversial video that Steve Hilton is trying to take advantage of, where he was at some event, then he took a knee, and he kind of explained it to us yesterday, but I still think it's going to be damaging. And to counter that, he said, well, we just got a poll today that says I'm on top, because I asked him in the previous poll to the one I just recently, the Emerson poll, Bianco was on top, Swalwell was second, Hilton was third. And in this most recent poll, it switched to Hilton was on top. And yesterday, the sheriff told us, well, we saw a poll today that has me on top. Well, again, the Public Policy Institute of California came out with a survey today that has Hilton on top with 14%. Swalwell has fallen to 4th. Katie Porter is now in 2nd at 13, which is good, because I'm telling you, we want Katie Porter to be, if in fact a Democrat gets in with one of the Republicans, we want Katie Porter. We don't want Eric Swalwell. I think Swalwell is a flawed candidate, but I think Katie Porter's worse. But she's bumped back up into the race, and maybe Kathy was right, because Kathy was the one that said she still thinks that Porter has a chance. I didn't think she could bounce back, but 13% still ain't much. Sheriff Bianco is 3rd with 12%. Swalwell's, like I said, has fallen to 11th. But really, if you want to know the truth, the big story out of this poll is Tom Steyer, who up to date has spent over $20 million, dwarfing what just about everybody spent combined. He's now jumped up. He's in the double digits for the first time. He's within 4 percentage points of the leaders. And so he is suddenly a player. And then after that, no one's even close. Everyone is in single digits, low single digits. Betty Yee, who we just told you earlier this week, finished second in the poll at the Democratic Convention up in San Francisco. And yet she's in single digits, not even amongst the top four. You got Tony Thurmond, the superintendent of schools, Antonio Villaraigosa, and all we want is for them to stay in the race. Stay in the race. Because I'm telling you, we not only do we have an opportunity to have at least one of these guys get into the general, which would be still a tough road to hoe up against a Democrat in a exclusively Democratic state, a 55-45 state, 60-40 maybe. But there's a chance both of them get in. We guaranteed a Republican governor. And that's what I'm praying for, just so maybe Democrats will realize that we've got to have a primary system, that we can't do this top two vote getter. And maybe if the Democrats get shut out completely in the gubernatorial race in this one party state, they'll have second thoughts about this thing and get back to the primary system. But again, there are 9 Democrats in this thing, 2 Republicans, and I think we've got a great chance. Here is part of our interview a couple of days ago with Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. No?
Technology. I apologize. Give me a second. Okay, it never takes this long. I don't know what's going on.
All right, let's go ahead and take our first break of the day, and we come back. Zach Scrivener was in court today. Tell you the results and why he was there. Then, speak of the devil, kind of, sort of. Lauren Skidmore, executive director of the Open Door Network, will join us. She was in Sacramento with Shannon Grove and Christina Scrivener and Robert Scrivener, Zach and Christina's oldest son, who was involved in that infamous melee up in Tehachapi. He bravely told his story. We might replay that for you at some point. And then we get into our regulars, Mr. Turnipseed at 4 o'clock, our money man, Daniel Petrie at 4:30. 5 o'clock, we'll delve into that Texas race involving Tony Gonzalez. Oh, not that Tony Gonzalez. And then our Black History Month focuses on Frederick Douglass. And you may have noticed, once again, I'm wearing my Dodger Raider hoodie today. Why is that? There's always a reason for me to wear this hoodie, particularly when it's 76 degrees. We are a month away from opening day, and tickets officially went on sale today. Dodger Ticks. And my boy Chad up in Sacramento has got us at least 2 games. And I had to tell him my whole financial story. I said, I'm going to send you the money in about 3 or 4 days. And then I had to tell him my whole ridiculous scam story. I got grifted. I'm a mark. I'm an idiot. I'm a 63-year-old moron. Quick time out. We're just getting started on a Thursday. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. And we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
You don't have to use the audio. Don't use the audio. Huh?
Sorry. No, it's there. Just for some reason, the computer was taking forever to load.
No. I mean the for Mike.
Oh. Got you. My bad.
Financially, it just doesn't make sense anymore. We'll have all the details on that, and we always have fun on a Friday. On the next Armstrong and Getty Show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
If you have an event coming up, and it doesn't matter what kind of event it is, it could be a corporate event, oil companies, safety luncheons, a wedding, a family gathering, a birthday. I know graduation is coming up very, very soon. Why go to all the stress and trouble? Why go to a restaurant? Why not have it in your backyard and have my best friend, Mike Arier, of Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue catering it? First of all, Mike has become famous for his food, and it's basically been on word of mouth. This is one of the first times Mike has actually advertised Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue, because he really hasn't had to, because his food is so good. The word of mouth is throughout Kern County. For 20 years now, Mike's been serving food. He comes with his crew. He comes with his rig. They do the cooking, they do the cleaning, they do the serving. And I'm telling you, it's some of the best food in Kern County. Call them today at 393-5507, 393-5507. Mike is a former NFL football player who's used that discipline and hard work to become one of the best businessmen and best caterers in town. Call him today, 393-5507, 393-5507. Mike Area and Big Mike's Ragin' Barbecue.
All Americans should do what they can to prepare for the future. Donald Trump Jr. here with an important message. More and more Americans are looking for ways to diversify their hard-earned money, and gold is the perfect solution. For example, a gold IRA from my trusted friends at the Birch Gold Group lets you diversify your IRA or 401k into physical gold with zero tax.
What are you doing here so early?
No penalties. You stay in control with a tangible asset that's held value for thousands of years. And right now, Birch Gold is offering a free info kit to help you understand how it works. Just the word secure, SECURE, to 989898. There's no pressure, no obligation, just the facts.
I lost my water.
Future, but you can be prepared, but only if you educate yourself. Take that first step.
I wish.
Now. Text
I got Lauren coming in.
989898 today. That's secure to 989898.
Ah, springtime. A time to plant some flowers, cut the grass.
Drag racing fans, forget the honeydews because it's back and it's Nitro time. The Good Vibrations Motorsports March Meet returns to Famoso Drag Strip in Bakersfield, March 5th through the 8th. 4 big days of nitro burning fun.
Since somebody stole my water. Somebody took my water. Somebody.
Swap meet and the manufacturer's midway. Come feel the sensation and smell the nitro all weekend long. See the champions crowd on Championship Sunday. Tickets at the gate or marchmeet.com. Kids 15 and under are free with a
I'm losing my mind.
Yes, Rob. Vibrations Motorsports March Meet at Famoso Track Strip, March 5th through the 8th. Smell the nitro.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
No idea where it is. Unless somebody stole it.
Did you leave it in Lisa's office?
No, I don't think I walked over there with a
Yeah,
bottle of
walk
water. That doesn't make any sense. Maybe.
Again, you got here early, so it's probably just setting you off a little bit here. But I don't know. I didn't see you walk around with a bottle of water. So
That's crazy. As I mentioned, Zach Scrivener was in court today to illustrate to the judge that he's complying with the mental diversion program. Meanwhile, Joseph Penny showed up here today, wouldn't answer any questions from the media. Connor Dorr, the 17 reporter, literally followed him out. They just should be ashamed of themselves. Just amazing to me how some people have jobs. It really, really is. And they're still, because, they finally got the writ right. Our top law enforcement agency, the Attorney General's office, submitted a writ for an appeal for something that doesn't make sense. They're not even dealing with the child endangerment charges. They're not challenging whether he was wackadoo about that. What their argument is the gun charges happened long before the incident in Tehachapi. And they're saying there's no evidence of his mental, when he bought those guns, there was no mental situation going on. There's no evidence of that. So they're saying because it shouldn't apply to the guns, the whole issue should be dropped. There ain't no chance in hell that they're going to drop the mental diversion program. And again, you know what I'm going to say. You didn't even put up a fight. You didn't even offer a doctor to refute H.A. Sala's doctor who told the judge Mr. Scrivener is worthy of mental diversion. You didn't even have an argument for it. And now you're taking off your shoe and bamming it on the table, screaming, oh, this is wrong. We're appealing. Shut up and go back to Sacramento and get it right. And the only way they're going to get it right is for us to get rid of Rob Bonta, our attorney general. They're incompetent, they're stupid. And I just absolutely disagree with Teresa Golden, where she says, well, maybe there wasn't enough evidence. Wasn't enough evidence? Did you not hear what the oldest boy said? And the charges and the description of the sheriff's office? You're telling me that they could not have subpoenaed? You could have, I finally realized I kept saying throughout this whole mess that we didn't want to see those 4 children go up against H.A. Sala. Can you imagine Sala cross-examining an 11-year-old or even a 17-year-old? I think he's 18 now, a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old, however old they were at the time. Can you imagine? He, like I said yesterday, he could have them saying that Christmas falls on October 31st. Because what you do in that, and I don't know this as an attorney since I'm not one, the only bar I passes are restaurants, but that you get them confused in the timeline, and you start throwing a bunch of times at them. And this is how you go at it with adults, let alone with children. And you get them, because it's hell. I was on a jury and I was nervous. I can't imagine what it's like to be the lone guy up with the judge sitting there to your right, and there are people sitting there watching you, and there are 2 attorneys that are about to come at you. I can't even imagine. And I certainly can't imagine doing that as a child. So we all thought that was the issue. But you're telling me that they couldn't have subpoenaed the deputies who were at the house that night to get the sex charge? Because remember, Teresa Golden's thesis is there wasn't enough evidence. The testimony of the sheriff's deputies wouldn't have been enough evidence? I just think it's incredible that the AG is complaining at this point when you didn't even charge him with a sex charge. And again, there are 3 different legislators, 2 local, Jasmine Baines being one. She's doing it all theatrically. But Shannon Grove is doing it more surgically, trying to put guardrails on mental diversion. We'll talk about that next with our next guest, the executive director of the Open Door Network, Lauren Skidmore. And she's got some good news for the Open Door Network from the city council from last night, I do believe. We'll talk with her about that. Mr. Turnipseed's already here. He was in the neighborhood, so he's out there smoking a joint with JR. I hope they heard that. And then Daniel Petrie at 4:30. It's the Ralph Bailey Show. I would stick around if I you.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Jerry Falwell.
With SRN News,
Yes,
I'm Keith
Jerry
Peters in Washington. Netflix is declining.
Hello. Come
Warner
on
Brothers
in. Take off your
Discovery
skin.
Studio and streaming business.
That's why I came in here. I was like, you don't have it on.
Paramount
I didn't
and
get to
position
hear that.
Take over the storied Hollywood
I said,
giant.
Mr. Turnipseed's already
On
here. He's
Thursday, after
smoking a joint
Warner's
with
board
JR.
announced that Skydance owned Paramount.
Go on in. I got to take a lap. I'll be right back.
It had previously struck with Netflix. The streaming giant said the new price that would be required to buy Warner would make it a deal that is no longer financially attractive. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei says the artificial intelligence company cannot in good conscience accede to the Pentagon's demands to allow wider use of its technology. The Pentagon's top spokesman is reiterating the military wants to use Anthropic's artificial intelligence technology in legal ways. This is SRN News.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
An upgrade for the Bakersfield Police. They're getting 29 new Ford Interceptors at a cost of about $1.5 million, which was approved Wednesday by the Bakersfield City Council. That will allow them to replace 29 cars that have been on patrol for the past 13 years. Former Kern County Supervisor Zach Scribner has been cleared for another month. The judge ruled this morning that he is in compliance with his mental health diversion, and he is due to report back again March 26th. The Bakersfield Honor Guard is looking for new members to help provide the ceremonies at military funerals. They are asking veterans to consider joining, and they can be from any of the military branches. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Look up in the sky. Yeah, that's what they cry. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's them. It's Paul Sheldon's team, that well-oiled machine of Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. Okay, Not superpowers, but still thousands of hours deciphering Medicare's whims, fighting the good fight, learning what works right. Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. So it might seem old-fashioned, but hard work with passion most often gives you the win. And the trio that knows are those Medicare pros, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. You know, actually to many, they are superheroes. Christine, Kelly, and Lynn.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
So I'm not defending this woman. Yes, her attitude probably stinks because, well, she's from Bakersfield. 2, she's got to put up with dumb people calling 911 because, well, she's from Bakersfield. Which leads me to my other question.
You interview with who?
Who else still calls 911 in this?
Oh, I thought
Expecting somebody
when he said Zach, I was like,
to your 911 call. Let's just be real.
The
do you
JR
think they come
Show,
on?
weekdays at 2 p.m.
No way. With Christina?
You're listening to the Ralph Bailey
No
Show.
way.
Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9
Come on,
a.m.
you
on
can
First
work
Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 at AM 1180.
You would tell her not to do it?
KERN.
Why? Put your head
Oh, so long for this night.
842-5376, 842-KERN. Coming to the top of the hour, Mike Turnipseed will join us in his inebriated state. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
You look very sober out.
Yeah, they finished smoking their joint. Daniel Petrie at 4:30, and then 5 we'll get into the Representative Tony Gonzalez situation. I think it's sooner or later at some point he's going to resign. And we'll talk about Jackie and Shadow, our favorite couple. They had another baby, or at least egg. We'll see if it comes to fruition. And our Black History Month moment today falls on Frederick Douglass. We'll wrap up Black History Month with a bio of the greatest African-American I've ever met, Ralph Emerson Bailey Sr. But in the meantime, as those of you who are subscribing on YouTube can see, the lovely Lauren Skidmore, Executive Director of the Open Door Network, is in our studios. Thanks for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
You want to start with the good news or Sacramento?
Good news.
All right, tell us what happened last night.
Yeah, so our 2.5 million came before the city council last night. We had a very robust discussion. If any of you have tuned in or are interested, it's on YouTube. Lots of conversation about homelessness and funding around homelessness. But essentially, we've been having multi-year conversations with the city about this very robust, large family homeless campus that we've been building. It'll be done in the next year to year and a half. And so the city is installing their final funding towards the campus of 2.5 million, and that got approved last night.
Wow.
So very exciting.
Yeah.
Will definitely help us move forward. I commend the council for having a good conversation around the issue. I agree with Bashirtash that you need to have these large funded items pulled off consent and have a conversation about them. I mean, 2.5 million is nothing to just throw around. So I appreciated the conversation. Of course, I'll take the hits if I get funding towards my project. So it ended up being fine.
I'm surprised. I like Zach a lot. We shouldn't call him Zach. I guess we should call him Mr. Bashirtash. Yes. But I'm surprised at your kind words for him because he got into kind of a mini imbroglio over some of the things that he'd said about the homeless. I think he called them, what was the phrase he used?
Degenerates.
Degenerates. What are your thoughts on his comments?
Zach and I have talked, Mr. Bashirtash and I have talked about it. Look, he's entitled to say whatever he wants to say. I very much believe in free speech. I don't agree with the dialogue. I would not call my clients degenerates.
But can't you see why he would say that? Because
Absolutely.
the homeless people, because what you're doing is going to help the woman who's in a bad relationship and doesn't have family and needs a place to stay because of domestic violence, or the husband just can't keep a job, or whatever. But what we all see are the degenerates. The guy that circles my apartment complex and screams at the moon late at night. The guy that's living in KC Steakhouse's parking lot that I see every time I go to the restaurant. These are the people that we come in contact with, where it seems like there's no help for these folks.
Yeah, the word degenerate is just a really rough word. But,
yeah, it is.
But I will say,
I don't even think I'd go that far.
For me, I've seen so many positive outcomes in the world of homelessness that I didn't even know existed until I got into this work. I mean, look, I was in politics before, so there was no hope for anybody in politics.
I know, we forgot about that. Tell them what you used to do.
Yes. So I used to work for Assembly Member Vince Fong. So this is, for me, everybody that is entering homelessness has a form of trauma. And so when you start thinking about that in terms of what did this person go through, what happened to them, you become a little bit more empathetic.
Yeah.
And that is how we see people every day that come, on the streets, come through our doors. And so I always have that lens when I'm seeing these folks that are struggling. Is there pathways to help? Yes. Are they going to pursue them? Probably not. And so it's really hard. I mean, I feel bad for the people on the streets. They just don't know what they don't know. They're living a life that they don't necessarily see as a bad thing. Yes, they're dealing with major addiction. Yes, they're dealing with mental health. But the system that's in place right now, especially in California, does not allow us to force treatment and does not allow us to remove them from their situation.
And I think that's what gets us all frustrated, because I don't know how you would describe it, but it doesn't seem like we're making progress. And we're spending tons of money. I don't even want to try to even guesstimate the type of money that we're spending here in Kern County and how much money is being spent in the state.
Yes.
And now that we know about what's going on in Minnesota and all this fraud, I've got to believe that there's some fraud involved in terms of all this money. I think the same thing.
LA had
high-speed
billions.
rail. Yes.
There's a CEO out of LA and some part of Homeless Endeavor down there, and he had a Range Rover and a beach house. And I clearly missed my calling in LA. I don't have either of those. Yeah,
you're too honest.
Here's the thing about Bakersfield is we are small enough to make sure that we're keeping everyone honest, but we're large enough to have kind of this larger conversation around impact of the state and what our city's doing, it being one of the largest cities in the state. But those things that are happening in LA aren't happening here. I mean, they really aren't. And so I get frustrated when we talk about all the misuse of spending, because is there misuse of spending in every facet of our life all the time? Yes. And I think Mr. Boschtosh talking about it, misuse of spending across the board. He talked about something that had nothing to do with homelessness in terms of change orders. I thought that was a great conversation to have, because when it's government dollars, things slip away. People take advantage of the government all the time.
Yeah.
And so it's just, homelessness is a really tough issue. You're dealing with poverty. And I always tell people, there was poverty and homelessness before Christ. So this is something that's just part of being
that's
human.
a good line. I might use that. Lauren Skidmore is, I guess, the executive director of the Open Door Network. I just want to get off the freeway for just a second. Why'd you leave Vince? He's a rising star.
I know, my guy.
You might have even delved into politics yourself after, drafting behind him for a little bit.
Yeah, I might have if I would have lost my mind. But instead, I had another child, which was also causing me to lose my mind. So,
Well, that's tough going to D.C. with a child and back and forth.
Definitely not. And I loved working for Vince. He is such a quality human.
Yes, he is.
He is dependable and he is loyal.
And brilliant.
And he is a policy guy that will just make things happen in terms of policy. I really appreciated working for him. Of course, I left on great terms. I had just had another child, and the life in politics is all the time.
Yeah.
You work weekends, you work events, you are going to different facets of the region.
You have no life.
You have no life. Yeah.
Really
and so
don't.
I needed to make a change. I made a change into something that also caused me to have no life, but very rewarding doing the work I'm doing now. And I learned a ton when I was with Vince about homelessness and policy and what was happening in the state. So it was great crossover.
As a former reporter covering politics, I have always said the staffers work harder than the bosses, than the congressman or the senator. It's just amazing. Trujillo, Amy?
Allie.
Yes.
I
knew I had it wrong. Allie. I mean, when we're in D.C. and I see what she's doing and, ushering Vince from one interview to the other and just planning things for later in the day. And I'm just like, God, y'all work harder than the Congress members.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Behind the scenes is always where it's at.
Yeah. You were in Sacramento with Shannon Grove trying to get AB 1373 over the goal line. But the real story is you were there with Christina Scrivener and her son, Robert, the oldest of their 4 children.
The second oldest.
Oh, he's the second oldest?
Yes, the oldest has gone off into the Air Force.
I didn't know that. I thought he was the oldest. So how old is the oldest?
The oldest is 18.
I thought Robert was 18.
Robert is 17,
Oh,
or
my
going
bad.
to be 17.
Oh, my bad.
16, almost 17.
So he's a senior in high school?
Yes.
Wow.
Junior. I think he might be a junior. He's a junior, 11th grade.
Yeah, that's even more incredible that he stood up and was on the news and spoke his truth about what happened that night. I mean, that is incredibly courageous.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
He is a quality young man that I think is going to be very successful in life. And I think he is very honest with himself about the situation. And I think he's very passionate about ensuring that this doesn't have to happen to any other families in the future.
So it seems, and we don't know what's going on. You never know what's going on with the family unless you live with them. But it seems that the kids are doing okay. Is that your assessment?
I would say the kids are doing fantastic.
Yeah, given the circumstances,
Absolutely.
they're doing amazingly well.
Of course. Yeah. They are
Yeah.
very resilient.
Yeah. Christina, I thought, made kind of a swipe at Kathy Scrivener, where she stressed, and I don't think she was doing it on purpose, but it showed us the difference where she talked about my children tell the truth. They told their truth.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still surprised at Kathy Scrivener, who, if you're not aware, the sheriff's come out and said Kathy Scrivener lied when she denied the fact that she told the grandchildren not to speak to the police. And the only reason, and we talked to Sheriff Young, it's one of our most highly rated shows, where he said, because I propped this to him, I said, had Kathy Scrivener not reacted and said and denied it and put his deputies on blast, the sheriff probably wouldn't have said anything. But once she put his deputies on blast, basically calling them liars, he had nothing more to do than to come out and say, no, that's just not true.
Yeah.
Are you surprised that none of her board members have asked for her resignation while they're trying to get rid of 2 other board members for a transgender issue?
I haven't been following the Kern High School District Board, but I am surprised. You know, that board seems to be very vocal on a lot of issues.
Exactly.
That's an interesting one. I
That
hadn't thought
they've
about it.
completely ignored.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that at all. Yeah, I think that there are some very interesting mental dynamics that is probably happening within that family. I always say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Ooh, a chill just went down my back. Tell us about what you know about SB 1373.
I think it's a very robust bill. Here's what I'll say about Shannon and her team is they listened, and then they continue to inquire with other victims and their families on the experiences that they were having related to mental health diversion, and they continued to listen, and they brought forward a bill that is just all encompassing of the concerns that we have as victim advocates and as victims and survivors have. I mean, in the audience, you can't see that when you're watching the press conference, but in the audience was a mother and her family. And this mother lost her son to a vehicle accident. It's going to be involuntary manslaughter. And this individual will probably get diversion. And so she was in the audience because she's been working with Shannon on some other bills related to these type of things. And she's very supportive of this bill. And she just said, how do we get here, right? Like as a society, how do we get here where now I no longer have a son? There was nobody that had, foul play per se, but I no longer have a son. And this person is going to basically continue their life as normal. And it's very similar to the Scrivener case, no arraignment, no arrest, no bail process. And I think once we start breaking down mental health diversion, and Shannon shared a lot of stories, we're going to see just how manipulated and misused it is.
Yeah.
And I mean, she shared some child torture cases. She shared a case about a husband or a significant other that just continuously beat up his significant other to a point where she's probably going to lose her life. I mean, these are heartbreaking situations. And these people are getting out on mental health diversion, not one time, but multiple times and continuing to reoffend. But because of the lack of clarity in the law, the lack of restrictions in the law, these people are eligible. And so what are judges going to do? They're not clinical experts. They're like,
Exactly.
Sure, go for it. Give them diversion.
Exactly. That's what blows me away about the prosecution in the Scrivener case, the fact that the state did not offer anyone. And you're going to try to tell me that they could, because of course Sala's response was, well, they couldn't find anybody. My forensic psychologist was right on, and they couldn't find anybody to refute him. I find that hard to believe in the state of California. I think that's just ineptness or unpreparedness.
Yeah.
And like you say, and I've been saying, what was the judge supposed to do?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to overrule Sala's doctor because I know better. And since you've offered no opposition, Mr. Penny, I'm going to make a decision. No, that's an impossibility.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been on a few calls with Mr. Penny. I will say,
no idea what he's doing.
I don't
I
know.
know
if he,
you
I
can't
don't,
say that,
I
but
don't know
I
if he has
just
no
did.
idea, but I will say, and we had warned him that how strong Sala was, but the issue is it just feels like this is another case on their long list of caseload. And, that's the number one rule we always teach victim advocates is when you're face to face with somebody, I think the saying is, right, this is their ball game. This is their big time of their life. And for you, it's just a practice. But these are moments that are so heavy, and he's just not an emotional human. And so it's really hard to get any information out of him. We truly don't understand why 288 was never charged. We know that the sheriffs applied 288 in their reports. We know that 288 was communicated. We know that all those things were happening. We're very frustrated about 288 not being engaged, because if 288 would have been charged, then mental health diversion would not have been even an option.
And Zach, if convicted, would have had to register as a sex offender.
Right.
And I just think there's some sort of entitlement group. Maybe it's the Epstein thing that's got me thinking like this.
Yeah.
But I think even if it's opposition parties, I think they're like, we don't really want this guy to have to, register as a sex offender. He's the DA's nephew. Let's just take this thing by the book.
Yeah.
You helped inspire the appeal, which I think, well, let me get your thoughts before I express my thoughts. What do you think?
Yeah, I think when you start racking up names and showing public support, then it helped the AG's office listen to how much we wanted to push this issue to the next level. I think anytime you do a petition, everybody asks, well, what can we do? What's next? And you're like, nothing. We just have to show support. We have to show pressure. And I think we did that through the petition.
I'll leave you with this. On 2 counts, what do you think of the chances of the appeal being upheld? And what do you think of the chances of Shannon getting this bill through?
The AG's office seems to be
Senator
optimistic.
Grove, excuse me.
They seem to be optimistic about the writ. I have no idea. I've done research. It says 90% of writs get denied. So, I try to be hopeful, but it is what it is. I think Senator Grove should be able to get the bill through. I think the bill is worthy. I think there's quality elements of the bill, which gives judicial discretion. It expands the reasons that somebody wouldn't qualify for mental health diversion. It doesn't allow you to have, certain things in your physical body, substances and things like that. I mean, all these things that seem common sense, she has included in the bill. She has great support from across party lines.
Really?
Yes.
Good.
She had numerous Democrats standing behind her at the press conference. Here's the challenges with her. It's her final year. And if I was, the Democratic Party, I'm going to pass the bill over to somebody who needs to get reelected. So there's all those elements at play that are extremely difficult. I think as far as the bill itself, should it make it to the next level? Yes. I hope Shannon's going to be the one to take it.
Yeah. And Jasmine Baines, a Democrat in the Democratic legislature, has an equal bill. Hers is all theatrical because she's running for Congress, where she's, the Lords of Bakersfield she alludes to, the Epstein files she alludes to. It's like, okay, settle down here. She's clearly running for Congress.
Yeah.
Always good to see you. Congratulations on the $2.5 million. Say hello to Irene for me.
I will.
And we like the pink nails. Show everybody your pink nails.
Thank you. Last time I had something
I
else,
know.
and you had me show them too.
Yeah, exactly. Lauren Skidmore, Executive Director of the Open Door Network. Quick time out. We'll read some text messages, get Mr. Turnipseed in here. Then at the bottom of the hour, we'll talk money with our man from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, Daniel Petrie. In the 5, we'll get into the Tony Gonzalez congressional seat, whether or not he's going to have to resign. And our Black History Month moment focuses on Frederick Douglass. And we conclude Black History Month tomorrow with the bio of the greatest man I ever knew, Ralph Emerson Bailey Sr. You're listening to the Ralph Emerson Bailey Jr. Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com. Sweet. Thank you. Well, that's good. I didn't know that she had Democratic support. I figured that they were going to try to side with Baines. Isn't there a third one as well?
Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Friday edition of the First Look program, we've got the latest on the ultra creepy ranch that Epstein had in New Mexico.
Is hers the strongest?
We got March Meets tickets to give away. We got news. We got traffic. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1.
She's not a nice
and
person,
streaming live on the World Wide Web at kernradio.com.
Do you know her?
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Sangera Subaru. You know, the Subaru A Lot to Love event is going on now through March 31st at Sangera Subaru. And of course, spring is the best time to get an incredible offer on that new Subaru you've been wanting.
Like the 2025 Forester Sport CVT. Lease one now for only $219 a month for 36 months and just $5,700 due at signing. And remember, every Subaru always comes standard with symmetrical all-wheel drive. And don't forget, this offer ends March 31st. So stop by and see my good friends Damon Culbertson, Hassan Levy, and all the guys during the Subaru A Lot to Love event. Pick out your new Subaru for spring and hit the open road. Sangera Subaru, paving the way for a better community. 5500 Gasoline Alley Drive in the Bakersville Auto Mall, 24/7 at sangerasubaru.com.
Through March 31st, 2026, lease a 2025 Forester Sport CVT for $219 a month on a 36-month lease. $0 due at lease signing plus tax and license. 7,500-mile year limit. 15 cents per mile overage. MSRP $40,814. VIN number SH617136. Model code SFF-24.
Ready to free your team from time-consuming office tasks? Amazon Business empowers leaders with smart business buying tools, leaving time to focus on strategy and growth. Free up your teams and focus on your future at AmazonBusiness.com.
Even if you've given up on your New Year's resolutions, one health habit that's easy to keep is Active Liver from New Nordic. Active Liver protects your liver so you can enjoy life to the fullest. Online at Amazon, in stores at CVS, Walgreens, and now GNC.
You still got it, but your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You see the light come on, it's flashing at you, check your mileage, and yes, it's time for an oil change. Don't wait until your engine begs for help. Head to Kern Oil Change. Fast, friendly, and affordable service that keeps your car running smooth. No appointment needed. Just roll in, roll out, and drive with confidence. Plus, get free fluid top-off with every oil change. Kern Oil Change has 2 locations to serve you, 3706 Coffee Road and 5651 Auburn Street. Kern Oil Change is open 7 days a week. Get in, get out, get on with your day. Follow us on Instagram for additional savings.
Please join us for the 4th annual Honor Flight Open Monday, March 23rd at Bakersfield Country Club. Sign up to play with.
I didn't use the Bianco bite, did I?
The tournament includes lunch.
Did I use the Bianco bite?
Raffle for a number of prizes and a cocktail hour reception. Proceeds go to Honor Flight Kern County. With your generous donations and sponsorships, we will be able to send these American heroes to Washington, D.C. to see their memorials at no cost to them. To sign up for a team, sponsor this event, or make a donation, please go to honorflightopen.com. honorflightopen.com.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I saw a video of her at her first Grammys. She's all sober and not skinny and looking beautiful. And then I saw a video, not last night, but fairly recently, at the end of her career, where she's skinny and drunk, and she got booed. She got booed. It was a concert in London, and she basically let them, you know how like the artists will let them sing the lyrics at some point? Well, she basically let them sing the whole damn song while she just kind of staggered around. It was difficult to watch. It's just, I just don't know how. The thing that always amazes me about Elvis and Michael and who else? Amy and Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix and all these people that die young, you would think that the hangers-on who make their careers out of helping this person would want to keep them alive. You know what I'm saying? Whitney Houston, although that happened by herself, she was in a tub in the Beverly Hills Hotel, but you would think you would go out of your way. You're killing the golden goose. It just doesn't make any sense. If for no other reason than mercenary reasons. What do you got on the board, Mr. Burdick?
It's called delayed incubation. So when she lays another egg, their hatch times will be closer together.
What's that got to do with her leaving the nest? Because that's all we talked about, the fact that I saw her leave the
Yeah,
nest.
that's why I'm kind of confused on that myself.
I mean, unless they're just making the point that there are more eggs to come, which is a possibility. We're aware of that. We talked about that. But my issue was that Jackie left the nest, left the egg alone. And that's how the Ravens got the other 2 eggs a couple of weeks ago. I was shocked by that. I really was. Because earlier in the broadcast, they had showed her and she was sitting there, doing the eagle thing. And then at the end of the show, they always go back to a little shot of her. Because if you don't know, we're talking about Jack and Shadow, a pair of eagles up in Big Bear, and a group called the Friends of Big Bear Valley. We've had 2 of their people on. One of them recently passed away, and they have a mounted camera on the nest. And 17 always goes to it in their morning show. And when she has eggs, and this morning at the kicker at the end of the broadcast, the egg was sitting there by itself. I was blown away and scared to death. What else you got?
Ralph, Zach Scrivener is a degenerate.
I wouldn't argue that.
I think it was when you guys were talking earlier, you said somebody said degenerate was a harsh word to use, but they weren't talking.
No, we were talking about homelessness. We were talking about Zach Bassertash. See, that's why I said. In fact, in that interview, I said we should call him Mr. Bassertash.
Absolutely.
Because I knew if we just said Zach, we all would think of. No, we were talking about Zach Bassertash, who's a city councilman who, in I guess 2 or 3 council meetings ago, when discussing homelessness, was said, we need to stop wasting all this money on these degenerates. And that is kind of harsh, but I understand what he's saying. And that's the point I was just trying to make with Lauren, because Lauren sees this because she sees the people that are helped, that actually can get back up on their feet. She deals with them every day. But you and I deal with the meth addict who's sitting out in front of our apartment or sitting in front of your business. And when you read some of the laws, like, did you know that if a homeless person is sitting in front of our front door here at AGM, we cannot move them? We have to step over them. You cannot remove somebody sleeping in front of your business. And we haven't even talked about the number of businesses who have been tortured by glass. We had a guy just a couple of weeks ago. They popped the guy, if I remember correctly. But that's the thing we all see. She sees the empathetic part of it. We see the crack addicts. Headed into the 4 o'clock hour. It's a Thursday. Mike Turnipseed is next.
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton finished 6 hours of testimony today in front of the House Oversight Committee meeting in the Clintons' hometown of Chappaqua, New York. James Comer, the Republican chairman, says the House Oversight Committee is not singling out the Clintons.
The Democrats voted to subpoena the Clintons. The Democrats voted with the Republicans to hold the Clintons in contempt. So the Democrats have just as many questions for the Clintons as the Republicans. So this isn't a partisan witch hunt.
Former President Bill Clinton will give his deposition to the committee tomorrow. A fierce Russian overnight barrage injures several people in a key Ukrainian city. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports.
Video provided by the State Emergency Service shows the upper floors of residential buildings on part of Zaporizhia, the region's home to Europe's largest nuclear plant, which is currently held by Russia and remains a sticking point in peace negotiations. The service reports at least 9 people were injured in that attack. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine also adds Russia's used over 5,200 kamikaze drones against Ukraine. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Russia launched a barrage of 420 drones and 39 missiles at Ukraine overnight. Dozens of people, including children, were injured, officials said, though authorities did not immediately publish a confirmed total. Netflix is declining to raise its offer to buy Warner Brothers Discovery's studios and streaming business in a stunning move that effectively puts Paramount in a position to take over the storied Hollywood giant. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 17 points. The Nasdaq dropped 273, with the S&P 500 index lower by 37 points. More at townhall.com.
Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. I've always been a strong believer in precious metals investment, and I've always been fascinated
water.
with rare coin collecting.
Come on, we got to play
But
this
owning
Saturday.
the
We got to
rolled
play this
coins
Saturday. It's
that
gonna be
only
80
make
degrees.
dealers a lot of money can be catastrophic for your investment portfolio.
Oh, come on,
Coin
Mike
and
got
Bullion
Sunday to do
specializes
that.
in taking people out of non-performing coin portfolios and turning them into gold, silver, or
What?
platinum bullion. They tailor a portfolio based on your goals and
Yeah, but
not
I
what
didn't get it
they
because I
want
don't
to
check
sell
my
you.
email
You'll
on the
never
weekends. I didn't get it
experience
till
scare
like.
tactics, misleading hype, or high-pressure sales
You
from
think I
owner
check my
Nick
email on a
Grovich and
Friday?
his very knowledgeable staff. They will evaluate your
You
portfolio,
never email me.
show
You
you
have
how
never
your coins
emailed
have
me in your
performed,
life.
and take
You always
the time to
text me.
educate you on the ugly industry practices
Yeah, I
so
don't.
that you can make an
No, I read
informed
your. I
decision.
read the one
Smart
about. I
people
read
can
the one
make
you read
very
2
bad
weeks ago.
investments when they're under
I forget what
pressure
it was
and
about, but I
lack the
actually read
facts.
that one.
Call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694.
Come on, let's play. Come on, Mike. If for no other reason, the
AmericanFederal.com.
exercise.
From the
Did I tell you what I shot
KERN
last week?
newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk
Yeah.
96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Zach Scrivener is doing what he's supposed to be doing, says the court. I'm Chris Davis. The former Kern County supervisor was in court this morning, so the judge could determine whether he's following the orders of his mental health diversion, and for now, he is in compliance, reports KGET. If he follows through and completes the terms and keeps getting counseling and reporting back to the court, the case against him would be dismissed. Scrivener is accused of sexually abusing one of his children in 2024 while high on drugs, and the mental health diversion is being questioned
They're out
by
of
the
town.
feds and
I
the
shot
California
104
Department
last
of
Saturday.
Justice. It's about
104.
making sure you're safe
No,
as best
100.
they can. The Bakersfield Police Department's fleet
No,
of cars is
104.
getting an upgrade
50,
thanks to the
50,
approval of a
54.
bid of
It was
nearly
windy. It
$1.5
was windy
million
Saturday,
from Jim Burke Ford.
and
The city
I
is
just
buying
my
29 new Ford
220-yard
Interceptor
drivers
police
were going
SUVs to
190
replace
in the
29
wind.
of those that
It
are
seemed like
essentially
every
worn
freaking
out
hole was like
after
into the
13
wind,
years on the
and my
road.
eyes were
Those cost
watering in the
about
wind, and I
$50,000
just
a piece.
I
The Open Door
four-putted.
Network is
I had a
also
birdie
getting
putt
some
and made double.
taxpayer money to upgrade and
I had a
expand
birdie
its
putt
facility, which helps
on
put people up who are victims of crimes
par
like
5,
domestic violence
because I
or
got this new
sexual
club. I
abuse.
got the
The
357.
City Council
That
voted
kind of
Wednesday to provide the nonprofit with
and I
$2.5
crushed
million
that thing, dude.
to help with
No
the
more
construction
5-wood.
of
I
4 new
crushed.
buildings at
I
what
think I'm
will
taking my
essentially
3-wood out
be
of
a
my bag
campus on
because
Dolores
I
Street.
can hit that thing about
A group that
210.
remains in need
And
is the Bakersfield
yeah,
Honor
so
Guard,
I had
money
9
won't
iron
do the
into
trick. What they
2,
need are new
had
members
a
to be able to keep
12-foot
providing
putt
full
downhill
military honors
and rolled
at
it off.
military burial ceremonies.
Rolled
And
it
the
off the
shortage and the continued dwindling
4-putt.
membership may mean they can't do that anymore. They are
I had a
asking
birdie putt
veterans
and
of any
made
branch
7.
of the military to consider joining. I'm Chris Davis in the
It's
KERN
unbelievable.
newsroom with news
Because I
every
mean, I
half
thought
hour and when it
it was.
breaks on FM
I mean, I was like
96.1
about to
and
raise my
AM
putter,
1180.
and then I got around the
KERN.
hole, and then it just kept going, it kept going, and then there's a certain part where it even actually picks up speed. Yeah, and then and now I'm chipping. I couldn't even putt it from where I was. It rolled off about almost 10 yards off the green.
Make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com.
Oh, I did that on 15.
Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Thursday. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, where we're streaming live at KERNradio.com. And of course, Kern Radio Studios are powered by Adaptive Networks. Oh, Chris, you cut out the sign. Just call them, Adaptive Networks, for all your IT needs. 661-241-0638 or hit them online at adaptive-net.com. And normally, you can see the Adaptive Network sign. I'll show it to you when we come back after our next interview, because it is a Thursday. No dancing today? No guitar? No nothing?
I'm just kind of wiggling.
I understand.
Today's a wiggle day. The first time you've ever laughed out.
My
I didn't know my
Turnipseed.
jokes were that good.
Just seeing you wiggle was hilarious. Are you kidding me? What's really going on?
Just another day.
Just another manic Monday.
Just after watching Bakersfield City Council.
Yeah.
Just another day.
Yeah, it's a good thing that Lawrence Skidmore got that $2.5 million. Is that a good investment?
The city, we will come to see when it gets to May and June,
Yeah.
when they start doing their next budget. They're going to do their mid-year budget report in the next month, I think I heard, which is really pretty late in the year. They're going to just see where they are and what their projections are. And the county had theirs well over a month ago, early part of February.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty stark.
Really?
They're talking lots of zeros. That it's almost like what they did in between 16 and 20 when the oil prices really
dipped.
Yeah. And the
Plummeted.
percentage of property taxes just went. They cut $40 million out of a $400 million budget, 10%.
Wow.
They did it over 4 years. They stretched it out because they have reserves. They have money. So they just took money out of reserves and do it. I don't know if the city has that much uncommitted money sitting around to be able to do that and bridge it, or they're going to have to make some really draconian cuts.
Yeah. Don't you think that the city and the county has staff as if we had money? You know what I'm saying? In other words, it's just my belief, and I've never really done any deep research into this, but I think there are too many managers on the county side. I think there are too many staffers on the city side. They can get down to bare bones. And I understand for many years we haven't had to do that. But now with the sewer situation and the expansion of this community, the staff should be bare boned, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of fat in the city and the county. What say you?
The city in particularly has done their whole TRIPS program between 2008 and 2022, when they really said it was done and financed. They kept about 12 to 14%, depending on the year, vacancies of paid positions that they had budgeted.
Yeah.
And they did that to make up on the trips because they so underestimated what trips would cost. You know, the 700 million we were told it's going to cost, and Bill Thomas gave them 700 million and asked them, "Sure you don't need more?" And they told Bill Mark, "Nope, we don't need any more." And then the engineers, Bill Thomas was a very smart man.
Yes, he was.
He did not trust the city to run this project, and glad he did. They brought in a company called Parsons. Parsons, after about a week, says, "Where's the rest of the money?"
Yeah.
What do you mean the rest of the money? You're not going to even have half of what you're going to need.
Yeah.
And it ended up being $1.53 billion. And they didn't do 2 or 3 projects like the Hageman flyover. And they just underestimated so much.
Well, of course they did.
And so I think there's sewer calculations. They brought things in. They brought in, I think, good advice. They had a consultant from San Jose. They brought in AECom, who's here, it's national. They're a national, highly respected firm. So I think their numbers are going to be a little firmer, but still, you have to have people to run the project.
Yeah. Is Mr. Thomas in town, or is he back in Virginia still?
I don't know. I haven't seen Bill
Because that goes
years.
to show you how stupid we are as a community. Here's one of the brightest guys that ever served in Congress. He was chairman of one of the most powerful. No, let me scratch that. He was chairman of the single most powerful committee in Congress, House Ways and Means. And yet we don't use his brilliance. Why is he not city manager? Why isn't he a special consultant to the city, special consultant to the county? I mean, I'm not a huge fan, to be honest with you, because I think he's kind of an arrogant, rude man. He's always been nice to me, probably not now, but I've just never been a fan. But it's unquestionable, his intelligence, his ability to think ahead. And we've got that in our community. We've got Kevin McCarthy in our community. And yet we've got 2 smart guys who are veteran congressional members, and we don't use them for anything other than private projects that they get on their own. It just goes to show how incredibly stupid. If I'm Christian Clegg coming from Stockton, that's one of the first things I do. Hey, Mr. Thomas, you're a veteran. Would you like to be my special counsel? We can make it a little thing for you, or just give me some advice. I'd go sit down and have dinner with him, something. But here we got 2 smart guys. We don't use them.
That is very true.
And very stupid.
True. They are 2 obviously very bright people to get to where they got. They understand the rules of the game. and Bill Thomas was Kevin's mentor.
Yeah, worked for
Kevin
him for
got
years.
really smart because he learned what Uncle Bill
Exactly.
told him.
And the same thing for Vince Vaughn, who followed in his step and was Kevin's aide.
Yep.
All three brilliant guys.
It's like playing chess. Politics is like a chessboard. We're not checkers.
No.
Chess is for adults and checkers are for kids.
And who knows more about raising money than those two men?
They've raised a lot.
Yeah.
Kevin was a phenomenal fundraiser.
Phenomenal. In fact, I was trying to, stir the fires on him becoming chairman of the LA 28, but it looks like they're going to keep Wasserman because I didn't even know Kevin was on the board. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
He is. And I read a Times.
But he's a money raiser, so it doesn't surprise me.
Exactly. But he's a Republican. So the folks in LA probably like, we'll go with Jeannie Buss because she's on Jerry Buss's daughter is on the board as well.
Money.
Yeah.
And she's on the board too. So it's just get another. That is for the ultra elite people who know how to raise money.
Exactly.
And they will all raise tens of millions of dollars each one because it's going to take $1 billion or $2 billion to run the Olympics.
Oh, the Winter Olympics was $6.7 billion. $6.7 billion.
But LA,
and it's much easier to run a Winter Olympics than it is to run the Summer Olympics.
But back when LA had the Summer Olympics before
84, I was 21 years old.
Was that when Uberoff ran?
Yes. Yes.
Well, they have facilities in LA. Nobody has more facilities than LA.
You're right about that. The Coliseum, Dodger Stadium, the two basketball courts, the Rose Bowl.
You've got the arenas. You've got this. They already had the like Marina Del Rey for the
boating. Yeah.
They had swimming pools. They had it all. So they didn't have to spend and create a whole village.
Right.
Yeah.
And didn't they come up here for the kayaking?
There was something up in the Kern River.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was the kayaking.
Well, because that's the river. They needed a river.
Exactly.
I mean, they were worried. I think they'd have enough water in the summertime.
Yeah. Well, no worries about that now.
Well, they kept extra water to make sure they had it for the Olympics, I guess.
Yeah.
But
it looks like they're going to keep Wasserman. Casey Wasserman is the head of LA 28 now, and he was implicated in the Epstein stuff before Epstein got fired, but it looks like they're going to hang with him. But he did resign from his talent
sold
agency.
His company.
Yeah, he sold his company, walked away from it. So,
well, I mean, he's a very wealthy
yes, he
man.
is. Are you surprised? I'll get off the freeway for just a second, pick your brain. Are you surprised how internationally Epstein is having gargantuan effects? I think Keir Starker, the PM of Great Britain, I think he's walking dead because they just arrested the U.S. ambassador, Peter Mendelsohn, who was good friends and an architect to his rising to PM. I think he's in trouble. And there are a number of different countries that have arrested and gone after people connected with the Epstein files. And yet here, Kash Patel tells us the only two people involved were Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein.
First of all, it's guilt by association. If you were in the rich circle, doesn't mean you necessarily went outside and smoked a joint with him or did what he did. But you were at a party just because you were at parties.
With a pedophile, yes. I think that's bad enough.
If you really knew that.
What do you mean if you knew that? If it was after his arrest, you knew that.
Well, some of this is before his arrest.
Wasserman's, but most of them, like Larry Summers, who just backed away from Harvard, they were dealing with him after his arrest. And I think that's enough. I'm sorry. You wouldn't come on the show if I get arrested tomorrow for pedophilia, would you? Hell no. My golfing days with you would be over, and rightfully so. So I think if you associated with this guy after he got popped, you're maybe not guilty.
Whatever that is, and I don't follow it because this is just drama.
I know.
So there's a demarcation line before and after.
Exactly.
If you're before and then
I'll give you a
most
total
of the smart
pass.
people would all have walked away, never to see him again. And then you had people that still hung around.
And the other issue, almost to a person, with these people that get involved or names are in the Epstein files, why do they almost to a person lie, Mike? Howard, what is his name? Slitnick, the Commerce Secretary?
Yeah.
Totally lied and got caught. Now, granted, he went to the island with his wife and his kids, which is even more bizarre. But why would you lie about that?
Guilt by association.
But lying makes you look even more guilty.
But you always think that they'll never find out.
Yeah.
They won't,
because they're rich and entitled.
They think there's a certain dome that protects them when you get to a certain point, and they can do things. And Mr. Clinton had his own issues when he was president, as we all know, because you can't keep things.
No.
There's no secrets in
No,
this
no
world.
21-year-old girl is going to have sex with the president and not tell somebody. It's just, you want to hear my joke about that?
Can you do it? Can you do it on the air?
Yes.
Okay.
Mike Turnipseed gets stranded on an island, and he's there for 7 or 8.
Like Gilligan?
Like Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise,
and
okay.
because he's alone, Gilligan had friends, and he's there for 7 years. And you see a boat go down, and you're like, "Holy Toledo!" And the total boat sinks, but a raft floats out. And so you're like, "Well, I'm going to go help them." And you swim out, and you get the rope, and you put it in your teeth, and you swim back, and you save the person. You look up, and it's who's your favorite female?
My favorite?
Yes, celebrity.
I'll just say Bridget Bardot.
It's Bridget Bardot in the raft. And she jumps out and she says, "Mike, I love you. You saved my life." And he says, "Wait a minute, there's bad news. We're here for life. I've been here 7 years. There's no getting off this island." She goes, "Well, that's all right. I'll love you for the rest of your life. You saved my life, boop, 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 boop." And now you're dating essentially Bridget Bardot. And about a month goes by and you said, "Bridget, tomorrow when we go crab hunting, can you do me a favor?" She goes, "Mike, I'll do anything for you. You saved my life." He said, "Well, will you wear my clothes?" And she says, "Okay. And can I call you George?" And she says, "Okay." And the next day you're crabbing and she's wearing your clothes and you go, "Hey, George, you won't believe who I'm sleeping with." Because you got to tell somebody, Mike. You can't sleep with Bridget Bardot and not tell somebody. That's the whole thing.
I figure it'd be a monkey or something you go tell. Just
You got to tell somebody.
Gotta tell somebody.
And that's why,
Loose lips sink ships.
That's right. How he thought he was going to sleep with that girl or have her do whatever she did to him, and it wasn't going to get out, is just a guy that brilliant could be that stupid. Crazy.
He was thinking with the wrong part of his anatomy.
As most powerful men do, as I've always noted. Doesn't matter who it is. Dwight Eisenhower, Franklin Roosevelt, Lyndon Johnson, John Kennedy, Bill Clinton, Martin Luther King Jr., powerful men who know that they're enamored, just can't help it. And it's, as I was explaining to Chris, it's always got to be somebody close. That's why this Tony Gonzalez is in trouble, because he slept with a staffer. Because you can't be seen out in bars, hanging out and picking up on women. It's got to be somebody close.
Yes.
It's the classic powerful man issue.
Works.
Yeah. What do you think of Hillary? I'll leave you with this. What do you think of Hillary and Bill testifying? Hillary testified today. They went to Chappaqua. She didn't have to come to D.C. They went to Chappaqua, New York.
Okay.
What do you think? Anything going to come out of this? This is just a Republican show.
Well, I don't think if anybody was, Bill, not
Yeah,
Hillary.
she never even met the guy.
She never, like she said, I don't think I ever met the guy.
Never met the guy, never
You
went to
think
the
that
island.
Bill was taking Hillary with him when he went to something like this?
Thank you. I don't know
those
why.
kind of events? No.
I don't know why.
That makes no sense.
No. I don't know why they're getting. But there's some pretty raunchy pictures of him, like in a sauna with a teenager. I mean, that doesn't implicate you, but it
with
does
pictures,
certainly.
and now we have the internet. That's worse, because all the pictures are getting loaded and scanned on the internet.
I know I would not get into a sauna with a teenager. No, I just wouldn't. Like, you kids have fun. I'm getting out of here. Like, why in the world would you get into a sauna with a 13, 14, 15-year-old girl? I don't even understand that.
It's just the culture you're in at the time, and a drink or two here or there, and or whatever else they were doing.
Yeah, and that air of entitlement.
Yep.
That air of entitlement. I think Bill
Brings
Gates
down a lot of people.
I think Bill Gates is as guilty as sin. He's now confessed to having an affair with some Russian woman, but I think he's as guilty as all get out. I really do. I think they were
He's
all
already divorced, so he doesn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
His wife's got all these
like
hundreds of millions.
I think he gave her like 1.7 billion.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being able to give away $1 billion?
Community property. You didn't give it away; it was hers. Hey, that's marriage law, you know?
I think that's one of the reasons I never got married, Mike. As I was
Well,
smarter.
it's, you know, they say I do forever. I mean, if you've got money, so if you're worth $100 billion, you know, she can't spend $1 billion anyway, no matter what she wants to do. So whatever, I don't know what she finally got.
Yeah.
But anyway, again, it's entitlement. You can just
Absolutely.
do and say, okay, bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most people go to the divorce scene. If you can really afford to give her this much money, you know, well, then you stay married.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just the way it is. I mean,
it's reality. It's real life.
It's a partnership. It's a relationship, and you've got to cherish it all the time.
How he didn't have a prenup, I will never figure out. That's just
Well,
crazy.
they got married
Were they
when
poor?
he was broke.
Oh, is that what it was?
He was in bankruptcy court until he got the IBM contract.
Is that right?
He got a $5 million contract to load Windows on IBM's new little computers, and IBM gave him $100 for every one he loaded.
Really?
That was a massive change in wealth. I can tell you that. Massive change. It was one of the biggest in history.
Crazy. Always good to talk to you, sir. Everyone, come on, man. Saturday, 10 o'clock. Come on, let's go. It's gonna be 80 degrees,
7
Mike.
o'clock.
If we have to, I'll do 7 o'clock if we have to, because I got to get some exercise this weekend.
All right, Ralph.
All right, I love you, man.
Thank
Appreciate that. Mike Turnipseed, quick timeout. Read a couple text messages and get our money man in here. Daniel Petrie from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. I would stick around if I you. All right, I'll play early if we have to.
Talk 96.1 and AM
Do you hear
1180.
but you might have to buy lunch. You might not have to, but you might have to. See what happened? I got suckered.
On the absolute
I emptied out my entire bank account.
as it appears to become increasingly likely that
I
we
got
are
suckered.
going to be
I got sent a
attacking
text
there.
message
But
saying
believe
there
it or
was
not, the
peculiar
continued
activity on
fallout
my
from the
account.
US
It had a
Olympic
Chase
team
title
and
on
the
it.
State of the Union.
And
We will
5
break
minutes
all
later, I
that
got a
down
phone
for
call.
you and take you into the
Guy
weekend.
saying he was a
Come hang
Chase
with us,
representative
play, and buy.
and that he was going to transfer me over to our
News Talk
fraudulent problem because there are 3
96.1
problems
and
on my
AM
account.
1180.
So he transferred me over to this
You know,
other
I've been-
guy
one of the things that I
who
rarely
basically
talk about
walked
when I
me
talk about
through
Casey
how
Steakhouse
to
is
send
lunch.
them
And you work downtown,
every
if you
cent
work
in my
the
account
county
under
or
12
wherever
months.
on Truxton. It's not very far.
I gave
and
them like
it's real quick, and
$3,800.
It's very convenient, and the menu is similar to smaller
And
portions.
I'm
and
supposedly
it
going
is
to get it back in 3 to 5 days.
And the variety
But it was
on the menu,
and
the
I swear to God, Mike, I was
is simply
like nauseous
unbelievable.
yesterday.
It's mostly a large,
'Cause it just-
large.
It's my
groups
stupidity.
coming to Casey
I
Steakhouse.
should
Not
have. I
everybody's
mean,
feeling ready.
first of all, it took
to
like an
celebrate
hour.
someone's birthday
It
or
took like an
anniversary or
hour.
whatever the event
That
may
should have
be.
tipped me off.
And that's why
And then when he
Chef
kept
Daniel's
saying
advanced
send
menu,
money,
so there's
he kept saying
Italian
because there were
food.
3
I
different. There was a
love the
$2,200
fettuccine Alfredo,
1,100,
the lobster
and
mac and
800.
cheese is
And I had to send. And I
everybody's
kept
favorite.
asking him,
The
why am I
fish dishes,
sending the money?
mahi,
He says, well, that just
swordfish, the
retracts
halibut.
it and send
Where
all
would
this
you rather
stuff.
be
And,
than on F Street? And don't forget about the Stockyard.
well, the first thing
next
Chase
door
said to me when I
for
called,
meetings,
Chase said we would
banquets,
never
or
call
just having dinner
We would never
and having
call
some
you.
of the craft cocktails that are
Yeah.
served next door. It's
But see, that's what got me.
Steakhouse,
I got a
longtime
text,
sponsors of the
and
Ralph
then he
Bailey.
called.
Jackson Hewitt knows taxes are complicated, and with multiple jobs and tax forms, they're like, it's not complicated. Our no surprise pricing keeps things simple. Jackson Hewitt does your taxes for only $149 or less. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back. So what are you waiting for? Hurry. File with Jackson Hewitt today for only $149 or less, guaranteed.
Did you get it back?
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149. How can you grow your
Mike, tell
business
me,
from
did you get it
idea
back?
to industry leader with smart business buying tools and
Oh.
technology from Amazon
You think I'm
Business?
gonna get mine
from
back?
fast free shipping to in-depth buying insights and automated purchase approvals, we deliver everything you need. Go to amazonbusiness.com for support.
Even if you've given up on your New Year's resolutions, one health habit that's easy to keep is Active Liver from New Nordic. Active Liver protects your liver so you can enjoy life to the fullest. Online at Amazon, in stores at CVS, Walgreens, and now GNC.
The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
Yeah, but I basically gave it to him. Stupid. I know. That's what made me nauseous yesterday. There were so many different things I should have done that I didn't do. I don't. I mean, how do they send me a text message? Right. They have the same insignia on the text. All right, call me with a tea time. All right, thank you. 842-5376, 842-KERN, and the current radio studios are powered by Adaptive Networks. Now you can see the sign. Now today I can't see the colors, Chris. How's that working?
I could not tell you.
Yesterday we saw the colors vividly. It's a beautiful, beautiful sign that Jennifer Van Alstyne, who will join us next Wednesday, has created. In the meantime, let's read a couple text messages and get our money man in here.
Let's see. They should have Melania testify. Apparently, she was with Epstein before Trump.
Yeah, but that was long before he was convicted. And why would they bring Melania in? What does she know? What do you think she was bringing around teenagers around Melania? They didn't date. I think they knew each other. They didn't date. And how do you know? Why am I listening to a text or telling me something that they read on the internet? What else you got? I don't even know why I paid attention to that.
If the president is right, which I doubt, but we are the hottest thing since sliced bread, and so much money is coming in, why is the national debt going up and not down?
Because we spend like drunken sailors. We're still spending a ton of money. Are you kidding? You really have to ask that question? What else? Anything intelligent in the chat room today?
Ralph, interested in finding when the sewage postcards are being sent out through the mail.
Now, that's an intelligent question, and we will keep you abreast of that. In fact, I should have asked Mr. Turnipseed about that. He was the one that told you about it. I appreciate you bringing that up, because we are going to warn you, because what they're alluding to is the city is about to send you a tiny little parcel that's going to say, have you vote on the sewer rates. Now, I don't own a home, but my landlord, and who is the owner of the building, certainly is going to be hit. So that means my rent's going to go up. I don't know if we should say no or yes, to be honest with you. I mean, ultimately, we're going to have to build this sewage situation and take care of it, but it's coming out. And if you don't want it to happen, we need 51% of you to say no. We'll keep you abreast when it's going to be in your mail. Quick time out. Daniel Petrie's next.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has told members of Congress she had no knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and didn't recall ever meeting him. Thursday's testimony comes at the start of 2 days of depositions that will include former President Bill Clinton. The depositions are in the Clintons' hometown of Chappaqua, north of New York City. Word from the Cuban government of a deadly encounter between its troops and a boat carrying armed expatriates is casting a spotlight on Cubans living in the U.S. who still harbor aspirations of a counter-revolution 67 years after a guerrilla uprising ushered in communism. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 17 points, the Nasdaq dropped 273, the S&P lower by 37. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. Former Kern County Supervisor Zach Scribner is in compliance with his mental health diversion, reports KGET. He was in court this morning so the judge could determine whether he's following all of the steps in that diversion, which means getting counseling and reporting back to the court. He's due back at the end of March. Bakersfield PD is getting 29 new Ford Interceptor police SUVs to replace 29 that have been on the road for the past 13 years. The city council approved a bid of $1.5 million Wednesday. The council also approved allowing Open Door Network $2.5 million taxpayer dollars to expand their facility on Dolores Street. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180. KERN.
Last week, there was the Paul Sheldon sighting. Kind of rare and very exciting. Everyone asking, where has he been? Of course, his clients weren't worried about their Medicare, even when Paul in person wasn't there, because there's Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. The grandkids like to play, Where's Waldo? Granddad's asking, hey, where'd Paul go? Just games that are fun to win. But when push comes to shove and the day is done, we know it's covered, so it's all in fun. Because there's Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. Over the years, so many have said it. The guy's a genius. Gotta give the man credit. He put it together way back then. Brought along those 3 Medicare pros, who of course by now everyone knows are Christine, Kelly, and Lynn.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298. We've all been there. Sleepless nights, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy knowing we're here for you. BayAlarm.com.
On Friday's Armstrong and Getty Show, a blockbuster gender-bending madness report. Plus, what was it like to be part of Mamdani's communist snow shoveling corps?
And if you live anywhere but a pretty big metropolitan area, is there going to be a hospital near you? Financially, it just doesn't make sense anymore. We'll have all the details on that, and we always have fun on a Friday. On the next Armstrong and Getty Show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's a Thursday. Time to head to 21st and Oak, the offices of Best Maker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, and the living saint, Daniel Petrie. I cannot thank you enough, my friend. You are a dear, dear friend of mine. You really, truly are.
Well, I appreciate that. No worries.
I won't embarrass you and tell you what you did,
I
but
appreciate that.
I might have to mention it in your live spot later on
Well,
the show.
you can find a way to do what it is you do.
I might have to do that.
I didn't do it for that reason.
I know. It was extraordinary. I was like, what? Am I home? Yeah, I'm home. What are you doing?
Oh, well, I just figured that was easier.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no worries.
I really do. So what is going on? Has anything changed since the State of the Union? I know that the day before, stocks tanked, and then they came back. I thought it was brilliant. I really did.
I thought it was pretty good as well.
I really did. I think the fact that he stacked the audience with people and he put it on the Democrats.
Yeah.
Let me see if you're going to stand up for a man that rescued 164 people with a helicopter and is getting the Medal of Honor. Let me see if you're going to stand up for a Korean and World War II veteran. Or let me see if you're going to stand up for the hockey team, which they didn't. Not all of them did.
No.
Even stand up for the hockey team. And the fact that he put them on blast, let me see if you're going to stand up for Americans before illegal aliens.
Right.
And you're going to see that on every congressional and Senate ad out there.
I think he did about as well as he could, given the circumstances.
A couple of errors. I think he should have recognized the shield. I hate to call them shills, but they were used as shills. But the horrendous survivors of Epstein, he should have recognized them, I thought.
He hasn't handled that whole thing
No.
very well. But he, for some reason, he can't say, I'm sorry, or I was wrong. It's just not who he is.
No, it's not. It's not.
He wants to come in the door like a bull and say, I'm always right. And
well, I was
whatever.
Yeah, I was given this. I don't know what you call it. It's like a poster, but it's small, and it's got John Wayne in this typical getup, and the caption is, "Never say I'm sorry. It's a sign of weakness."
Yeah,
and I think it's that old 20th century thinking that Trump grew up on.
Well, yeah, in business, it'll get him trumped.
Yeah, it's just a sign of weakness if you show, some regret or something. But in politics, sometimes it's absolutely necessary.
It's lacking. For whatever reason, he's lacking in that department. But that's who he is. I mean, I go by more what you do than what you say.
Yeah, absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
what you say can be misconstrued or misunderstood or
Yeah.
yeah.
So how is the economy taking the transition between his tariffs and the Supreme Court decision, and then his ability to apply apparently a 15% global tariff?
Yeah, it didn't seem to take all that very well.
No, it dumped heavily the first day.
Yeah, but we had been near the highs for a long time. You've got a lot of uncertainty out there. The whole Iran thing just keeps going.
Yeah.
We don't talk about much more about Ukraine and Russia, but that continues to march on. And
Yeah, I think something funky on the Iranian situation is going to happen this weekend. I really do.
yeah, I usually it's a weekend event,
Yeah.
and I don't think he wants to do it,
No.
but I also don't think Iran's going to give in.
No, they cannot. He's right. Every president has said it. He's been the only one to really do anything about it. But Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
No.
It just can't. There are too many zealots. There are too many religious freaks. And if they get a hold, can you imagine if they get a hold, Hezbollah might get involved, Hamas might get involved.
Oh,
That's why I've always said I think we're going to blow this thing up.
it'd be a disaster. Well, I think Israel has basically said if you don't do it, we will.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be over quickly and it doesn't get into a long drawn out thing.
I think he's smart enough to know that putting boots on the ground would be the absolute last thing in the world he's going to do. I think they're going to go in with strategic strikes.
I don't think he would want to do that.
No, because then, as Lyndon Johnson found out, once you commit boots to the ground, that's what your entire administration is about.
Yeah.
Your entire administration is about war. Everything else you wanted to do is secondary until you get those boys and girls back home.
Yeah.
And so I think he's going to go strategic air attacks as opposed to boots on the ground. What say you?
Yeah, I do not think he'll try to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah.
Because in reality, once you go boots to the ground, it's either a lot more entrenched that you weren't necessarily wanting to do, or you have to eventually give in and say we can't do this anymore, and then you have the perception of losing. And
and if we've learned anything from Vietnam, we've learned that you cannot do it piecemeal.
No.
You know what I'm saying? You better come in with 500,000 strong and wipe this thing out as quickly as you can, as opposed to sending in 50 and then another 50 and then another 50, and then sentiment starts to go against you, and you got to come in and kill it quickly. And because I mean, look at who would have ever thought that the Ukrainian war would have celebrated a 4th year anniversary?
No, I thought that was going to be over in weeks.
6 months, tops 6 months. Yep.
Months at best.
Yep.
I underestimated that bigly.
Everybody did. Everybody did. I thought they were going to go through them like goose, or
I really thought it would be that Ukraine would say, okay, we give up our little region here, you can have it, let's go, but
they are fighting to the bitter end.
And I don't blame them, but I really underestimated that conflict.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's check in on the deficit. Someone was asking me just about the deficit.
I was listening to the show today.
Yeah.
It was a quieter day, so I like it when I get to listen to the show. You had great comments for Turnipseed, I thought.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And yes, the deficit it fluctuates some, but it was still up a little over $29 billion for the week.
And that's just our spending, right? Just the idiotic spending that we can't get away from.
Yeah, remember, you can go to debtclock.org and it gives you a wealth of information if you want to be depressed and look at it. But
debtclock.org?
USdebtclock.org.
Okay. I might take a look at that.
Our debt to GDP is now approaching 125%. Wow. It'll give you the 4 biggest debt liabilities.
Ticket items.
Medicare, Social Security, defense, and interest on the debt is approaching $1 billion. That's crazy.
And those things, Medicare and health and Social Security, we're not going to do
approaching $1 trillion. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Approaching $1 trillion?
Yeah, it's 900. I thought it was million. It's 990 billion, 666 million, hundred and some odd thousand.
The interest
on the debt. Wow. Isn't that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have 12 digits.
Our poor grandchildren.
All these things are 12. The defense and war is 930, and
our poor grandchildren.
Trillion. Social Security, I think, is in the trillions. 1,600 billion.
I really would not want to be born today.
I know.
Seriously.
I mean, it's bad enough. You have great respect for your father. He was a hero, a good man. When you talk about him, I get the same feelings I had for my father.
Yeah. He's the subject of our Black History Month moment tomorrow.
What's that?
He's the subject of our Black History Month moment tomorrow. Nice. Yeah, I'm going to end the month with my dad.
Kudos to that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a wonderful tribute.
Yeah, I hope so.
But not only is the world different than the way you and I grew up, but then you have these other factors. I mean, there's always been wars, but our dollar is, I don't understand how if we continue, your dollar may still be around, but your dollar bill will purchase, and it already is purchasing about 10 cents. It'll purchase a penny, or it'll be worth more for paper than it is currency. It's sad state of affairs.
Really
I agree with you. I would not want to be raising a child in this environment.
No, not at all. I'm assuming silver and gold are still thriving, maybe not as much as in the past, but they're still doing it. Yeah.
Last I looked, the gold was up above 5,000. It was at 51.90, almost 4% gain from last Thursday. And silver was back up just under 89.
Wow.
Which was a 13% gain. Yeah, it has been very volatile, going from almost 120, maybe late January, early February, to in the 60s, I think, was the low. And now we're climbing. So,
God, I wish I had a clue to understand how these things fall and rise the manner in which they do.
Well, it's hard to understand, because even if you think you're right, your timing can be way off.
Right.
Because gold and silver went nowhere for decades, even though we spent like drunken sailors, and it's almost like it plays catch up.
Yeah.
So,
I heard
fascinating.
I heard Bitcoin has taken a bite while crypto is surviving. The Trumps are doing extremely well.
I was a little surprised he didn't mention Bitcoin during the. I thought he'd give it at least a little line.
I thought he would too. I was surprised he didn't. The other mistake I thought he made is he did not mention Renee Good or Alex Preddy.
Yeah,
I thought that was a mistake.
He doesn't handle that. He just doesn't handle bad well. He either ignores it or he doubles down that it was.
Because the party.
Much as the market has been volatile, though, let me throw this in there. We're only maybe 100. The S&P is only 100 points off the high.
Yeah.
So, and it was down 37 today. So we're kind of consolidating up here, I would say.
Yeah.
Futures, I think the last I looked, are down, but a lot can change.
Yeah.
It's very volatile.
We're approaching tax season officially, and really for many people, particularly those getting refunds, they've probably already gotten their W-2s and probably already are filing to get their money back. I know when I used to get refunds, I know I did it as soon as I got my W-2. And he's accurate. The big, beautiful bill is going to put more money in people's pockets in terms of tax returns. Do you think that it's strong enough to impact the economy? Waiters not having to report their tips, and overtime not being taxed, and Social Security not being taxed, and some of the benefits that folks are going to get from refunds. Could this?
It will definitely help.
Yeah.
Whether it's enough to overcome the kitchen table perception is another topic.
Yeah. What I'm making you Scott Bessent. Not that you're a gay 60-something-year-old man, which people forget that Trump has a gay man in his cabinet. I think that speaks well of him.
I forgot that.
I did too. I always forget that. But I'm going to make you Treasury Secretary. What advice would you give the president at this point?
Wow.
I know it's big Big ask for my last question.
If you want to do it, get it done. You've only got, and who knows what he'll see here come November. You have to assume that the Democrats, if they won't take power, will make inroads.
Yeah.
And Trump likes to leave a legacy, so if he wants to do something, go for it. But it's going to be hard for him to implement anything through Congress. I mean, it's a fight on his hands, and that's why I think he likes to try to do things on his own. And he says, "Okay, if you don't like it, fight me in the courts." And while the courts are going, it's kind of the way he's ran his empires as well.
Yeah.
So, I get it. I understand it. It is nice to have a president who actually does something, then kind of shrugs their shoulders and says, "Well, I can't." And it's like, well, that's not why we elected you. And of course, half the population, I don't want to put an adjective in for them, but it seems like they can't stand him, and they're going to fight everything that he does. But will we ever have a president who can get anything done? Because the polarization is extreme.
Yeah. Oh, it's incredible.
I mean,
incredible.
Don't you think if the Democrats take power and get a president, aren't the Republicans going to fight them with everything they have because of what they did to Trump?
Oh, it's gonna be vicious.
Yeah.
Because what they're gonna do, and I've been trying to tell this audience this every single day, they're gonna get rid of the filibuster. If they win the House and the Senate in November, they're gonna get rid of the filibuster. They're going to be able to pass legislation with 51 votes instead of 60. And then they're going to do all kinds of things. They'll wait out Trump, and then they'll pack the court if they get a Democratic president in 29. And then they're going to make Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico two states.
That'll help them.
Yeah, because people don't realize they've been trying to make Democrats, particularly African-American Democrats in D.C., have been trying to make D.C. a state since I was in college.
Yes.
We're talking about 40 years they've been trying to do this.
Why is it when they do things such as change voting districts boundaries to help themselves, it's all okay, but when we do it, we're against democracy?
Oh, the hypocrisy is crazy. You should listen to the rest of the show. I've got some audio of Trump saying something, and then Bill Clinton basically, I don't know what, 30 years ago, saying the exact same thing in terms of immigration.
Yeah.
And getting applause from Democrats. And it's like, what happened? What happened? What happened?
Yeah, I don't know, but it certainly isn't going to get better.
Yeah. Sir, thank you again for all your help. You are a very dear friend and a great person to have as a client and to be a client. Can't thank you enough.
Hey, have a good show and have a good weekend.
You too. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you next Thursday. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Daniel Petrie from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Quick timeout. We'll check the board. Coming up at the 5, we'll talk about a congressional seat, one down in Texas that is in jeopardy. And I've got some bad statistics on what's going on in Texas now in terms of voter turnout. Because, they're voting already for a primary that is next week. States can do their elections any way they want. And Texas has been voting for like a week and a half now. And there's a big, big Senate seat that's up for grabs. John Cornyn is trying to hang on to his seat, while Jasmine Crockett and James Tellerico are fighting it out on the Democratic side. I always forget his last name. The AG of Texas is fighting and leading John Cornyn, the incumbent. We'll talk about that and Mr. Gonzalez. And in the 5, our Black History Month moment, our penultimate Black History Month moment, focuses on Frederick Douglass. You're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180.
What is it?
Messmaker.
JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
Nobody's talking about that self-worth and purpose. Who's talking about that? Nobody says it. There's more to you than what you're doing. Let's help you get there.
Let's help you get there. Let's just all agree that there's many different roads, but different people dealing with homelessness and living on the streets to get them.
Right, I agree with you on that.
And as long as we can start there, then I think we can start to make a bigger dent.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
You just heard why Daniel Petrie is an important cog on this radio broadcast, his economic knowledge and his political knowledge and his just ability to just chew the fat, talk about whatever's going on, makes him really, really important. But he's an incredible friend in my life. If you weren't with us yesterday, you may have heard I got scammed out of almost every penny in my bank account. And I'm not going to get into specifics, but Daniel Petrie was there for me as a friend and as a client and as someone who made the best decision financially I've ever made, becoming a client of his some 7-8 years ago. And I'm so happy to hear I've turned on several of our colleagues here at the radio station, and all of them are absolutely thrilled at Daniel's work. Lisa was telling me her husband just likes to go to the office and chit chat with me. Such a nice man. And of course, you heard Chris, one of our listeners, call in. He's a client of Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, and he told you firsthand he is in love with the work that they're doing. Call him today at 395-9400, 395-9400. Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only. Does not constitute a solicitation or offer to buy or sell any security, future option, or other financial instrument, or to offer or provide any investment advisory or other services to any person in any jurisdiction by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Inc., DBA Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Any views expressed in this broadcast by us are prepared based upon the information available to us at the time, and we are under no obligation to update our views.
Ah, springtime. A time to plant some flowers, cut the grass.
Drag racing fans, forget the honeydews because it's back and it's Nitro time! The Good Vibrations Motorsports March Meet returns to Famoso Drag Strip in Bakersfield, March 5th through the 8th. 4 big days of nitro burning funny cars, dragsters, and those insane ground-hunting fuel motors. Experience quarter-mile drags like it used to be. Walk the pits, check out the car show, swap meet, and the manufacturer's midway. Come feel the sensation and smell the nitro all weekend long. See the champions crowd on Championship Sunday. Tickets at the gate or marchmeet.com. Kids 15 and under are free with a paid adult. The Good Vibrations Motorsports March Meet at Famoso Drag Strip, March 5th through the 8th. Smell the nitro.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Pet stains on your carpet? Carpet Outlet Plus has everything you need to make your floors pet-proof. With over 100 in-stock waterproof floors, Carpet Outlet Plus can solve your pet problems for good. We also stock over 50 colors of pet-perfect carpet. Call, click, or come by today for your free in-home estimate. Don't forget, for the do-it-yourselfer, we also offer free next-day delivery on all qualifying stock floors. And as a bonus, go to carpetoutletplus.com and apply for 12 months no-interest financing. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
842-5376, 842-KERN. Did you hear that Carrie and Pink, Carrie Hart and Pink broke up after 20 years of marriage? It's about the third time they've broken up. They're a weird couple. Have you ever heard the story she tells about the time on Thanksgiving they were drunk as skunks, got into a fight, and she ripped open her hand because she was trying to take a knife and stab his tires on his truck. And the truck tires were so thick that I guess the knife backed up and cut open her hand. She had to be taken to the emergency room to fix her hand because she was trying to slash her own husband's tires. They've broken up like 3 times. They broke up once right before they had their 2 children. And now apparently after 20 years of marriage and the kids are like 10 and 6 or 12 and 6, they're breaking up again. She seems weird. I like her.
She does seem weird.
But she seems weird. Particularly when I heard that story. You were out in the driveway trying to tear up the tires of your boyfriend's car.
I know a lot of girls that would probably do that depending on what the boyfriend did.
But that makes you psycho.
Oh, 100%.
I know there's I've had a girl. The worst thing I've ever happened to me is I actually got into a fight with one of my girlfriends. Well, she wasn't really a girlfriend on Valentine's Day, and she threw the vase of roses at me. That's about as bad as it ever got. Oh no, Kim! I forgot about Kim Williams. She slapped me on the side of the head I was laying on the couch. You guys remember that story? Kim stole me. Well, she didn't steal me, but I left my girlfriend, who I worked with at the LA Sentinel. It's good to show how smart I was when I was young, because her father was the assistant managing editor, and I'm dating his daughter at my first journalism job. And I broke up with her to get with Kim, and Kim was aware of that. So whenever Kim would come to the office, all of a sudden she'd become misaffectionate with me to show up Sheena. And we got into a fight one afternoon. I was laying on the couch. She was in the kitchen. And I said, well, Sheena certainly wouldn't have done that. And she walked in and slapped the crap out of me.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
You don't say that to your girlfriend.
You don't put your hands on people. And I got up and I grabbed her and I shook her and I threw her on the couch. And she's a light-skinned black girl, and she had these whelps, but my arm grips on her. And this is like the late 80s when domestic violence was finally being dealt with, where the states were that's right around when the states, because it used to be if the cop showed up and the woman was like, nothing happened, she could have fingerprints around her neck, arms, but if she wasn't willing to testify and fill out a complaint, they left it alone. And then finally, it was right around the late 80s, maybe even the early 90s, where most states said, no, if we get called and there's evidence of violence, even if she doesn't want or he doesn't want to prosecute, we're going to prosecute. And so I was like, I went downstairs to get away from him. I went to Chet's, my buddy in Sacramento. I went down to Chet's apartment. And I like got myself all composed because I didn't want Chet to know my business. And he opened the door and he said, holy crap, what happened to you? And I go, what? And I went and looked in the mirror. There was a big old handprint on the side of my face. And I went back upstairs and she's just seething because I'd thrown her on the couch. And I said, Kim, please, we'll both go to jail because look at this. You know what I'm saying? And she's like, oh no, I'm not going to call the police. Oh no. And I was like, I know there's a but. I know there's a but coming. Or an and she goes, oh, but I am going to call my daddy. And I had met her father, and he was a pretty good dude. He played football in college, and I was like, I was more scared of that than I was of cops. That's about as bad as I've never had a woman destroy property of mine. What are you going to do? Did I just blow off a caller? Should have reminded me. If you can hang on into the 5, I'll get to you. I apologize. As we head into the 5, maybe we'll have a caller when we start the segment. Don't go anywhere.
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton told U.S. House lawmakers that she has no knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
During a closed-door deposition with members of the House Oversight Committee, Hillary Clinton said she had no idea about Epstein's criminal activities. In her opening statement that she shared on social media, the former First Lady said she did not recall ever encountering Epstein, although Bill Clinton had flown with Epstein for charity trips. Her deposition kicked off 2 days of testimony that will also include the former president. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Cuba says a boat from Florida opened fire on its forces, triggering a gunfight that killed 4. Correspondent Ben Thomas reports.
The Cuban government says 10 people on a speedboat in waters off its northern coast were armed Cubans who'd been living in the U.S. It alleges the group have a known history of criminal and violent activity and were trying to infiltrate the island when they opened fire. Cuba's Interior Ministry says its forces responded, killing 4 of them. 6 others were wounded and detained. At a Caribbean summit, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said it was not a U.S. government operation, and both Homeland Security and the U.S. Coast Guard are investigating, trying to determine if those involved are American citizens or permanent residents. I'm Ben Thomas.
Netflix is declining to raise its offer to buy Warner Brothers Discovery's studio and streaming business in a stunning move that effectively puts Paramount in a position to take over its storied Hollywood rival. A mixed day on Wall Street with the Dow up by 17 points, the Nasdaq dropping 273, the S&P lower by 37. More at Town Hall.
Crime is skyrocketing. You may already own a firearm, but before you face the financial and emotional weight of pulling the trigger, consider Byrna. Byrna's less lethal launchers fire tear gas and kinetic rounds designed to incapacitate attackers for up to 40 minutes, giving you time to escape and call for help without deadly consequences. Now meet the all-new compact launcher. Sleek, slim, and hits like a sledgehammer. About the size of a smartphone, it's perfect for concealed carry. Comfortable, discreet, and confidence building. It fires at 400 feet per second with 41 joules per square inch of stopping power. That's enough force to halt a threat cold, without the legal and moral complexities of lethal force. What I love about Byrna is they're proudly American. Best of all, Byrna is legal in all 50 states, no background checks, and ships directly to your door. Trusted by hundreds of police departments and government agencies around the world. Visit Byrna.com to learn more. That's BYRNA.com.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Zach Scrivener is doing what he's supposed to be doing, says the court. I'm Chris Davis. The former Kern County supervisor was in court this morning so the judge could determine whether he's following the orders of his mental health diversion, and for now, he is in compliance, reports KGET. If he follows through and completes the terms and keeps getting counseling and reporting back to the court, the case against him would be dismissed. Scrivener is accused of sexually abusing one of his children in 2024 while high on drugs, and the mental health diversion is being questioned by the feds and the California Department of Justice. It's about making sure you're safe as best they can. The Bakersfield Police Department's fleet of cars is getting an upgrade thanks to the approval of a bid of nearly $1.5 million from Jim Burke Ford. The city is buying 29 new Ford Interceptor police SUVs to replace 29 of those that are essentially worn out after 13 years on the road. Those cost about $50,000 apiece. The Open Door Network is also getting some taxpayer money to upgrade and expand its facility, which helps put people up who are victims of crimes like domestic violence or sexual abuse. The city council voted Wednesday to provide the nonprofit with $2.5 million to help with the construction of 4 new buildings at what will essentially be a campus on Dolores Street. A group that remains in need is the Bakersfield Honor Guard, and money won't do the trick. What they need are new members to be able to keep providing full military honors at military burial ceremonies, and the shortage and the continued dwindling membership may mean they can't do that anymore. They are asking veterans of any branch of the military to consider joining. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this. Little thing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Thursday, 26th day of February, the final work week in the very short month of February, Black History Month, coming up in just a couple of minutes. Talk about Frederick Douglass. Tomorrow we'll talk about my pop, my dad. I thought that was an appropriate way to end Black History Month, particularly in a year where I said I was going to try to focus on people that you didn't know anything about. And I've strayed from that twice. We did a bio on Jesse Jackson, obviously, because of his death. And I thought, I don't know, I just felt like talking about Frederick Douglass. I don't think a lot of people know a lot about Frederick Douglass, probably know who he is. But I've read all 3 of his autobiographies. I studied him primarily because my father always insisted that we were related to him. I've told this story 1,000 times. I'm a freshman at Morehouse College, and in one of my first classes, I think it was an African Studies class that I was taking my freshman year, And I had never read much of Frederick Douglass. I think I read one of his books was in his autobiography. And in his autobiography, on page 3, he alludes to his original family name being Bailey. And I mean, I'd heard this from my dad since I was like 8 years old. We were related to Frederick Douglass. And, my dad could have a sense of humor. And we were always like, yeah, right. And here's the crazy thing. This is the thing that you say, well, Bailey's a fairly common name. Bailey is not a common name among Black folks. Bailey, as most of you know, was kind of an Irish name. And as a kid, I always joked, I'm Black Irish. But my grandmother, which isn't on the Bailey side, granted, but my grandmother she's Sadie Bailey. And most women spell it S-A-D-I-E or something. My grandmother spelled it S-A-Y-D-E. And so did Frederick Douglass's mother, which is, I guess, just a weird coincidence. But as a freshman in college, I thought, well, hell, I must be related to the man. So we'll talk about that. I don't understand how we do things around here. I just found an invitation to a night at the museum with my name on it on the floor over here. Just let me show you something, y'all. Just to give you why you should be a YouTube subscriber, because I can show you things in the studio that you would never see. And down here, we have the area.
There we go. Now we're working. Or it's
trying. It's going live. It's not live yet. It's going live. We're live. All right, now I got to rearrange the camera.
Move it now.
But here's what I was trying to show you. If I don't, right down there is where we keep all of our stuff. Collect my group of stuff over there on the table. See that? And that's where we keep it. That's where I found an invitation to the museum with my name on it. It was just sitting perched over there. That if I hadn't been bored and just started walking around the studio for the sake of walking around the studio, I'd have never ran into it. And it's an event that's coming up. It's March the 5th. We are delighted to invite you to experience the museum in a more exclusive way. Discover our captivating exhibits, signature events, curated programs, and a host of unique opportunities reserved especially for our VIP guests Thursday, March the 5th. Boop, 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 boop. I'd have never seen this. I'd have found it on March 6th. I don't know how we do stuff. You got somebody on the phone?
I do, yes.
Who you got?
Sean's on the line.
Sean, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
Ralph, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Okay. In President Trump's State of the Union address, the Democrats were criticized for not standing during President Trump's State of the Union address speech. And Congresswoman Omar, whatever her name was.
Ilhan Omar.
You guys shouting at the president. My question is, will that affect the Democrats' upcoming midterm election?
Yeah, I think so. The fact that they could not stand up for the local girl here that was injured by the illegal alien that was a truck driver that turned, and they're making a law. What was her name? Delilah Coleman, I think it was. Local family. They're still in D.C. celebrating, and she was highlighted. They didn't stand up for her. Many of them didn't stand up for the Olympic team. But I think the commercial that I've talked about all week long, that's going to appear on every congressional race, I think David Valdeo should use it. Everybody should use it, was when he said, stand up if you agree that we stand up for American citizens before illegal aliens. And the Democrats sat right down and didn't say a damn thing. And I think that's going to damage them. They haven't learned their lesson from past events when they didn't stand up. And, at some point, there are some bipartisan things, but it's Trump. So they're not going to give him credit or recognition for anything. For the Medal of Honor winners, they had no choice. They were at least smart enough to know we can't not, excuse my double negative, stand up for a veteran or a guy who saved, I think it was the helicopter pilot, saved those girls from that horrible river flood in Texas. And he personally saved like 160 people. Then there was a World War II and Korean veteran. They had to stand up. But I loved how he put them on blast and made them make a decision, and they made the wrong one. So yes, I think it is going to have an impact on the primaries and the general election in November.
Well said. Thank you.
All right, Sean. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. 842-5376, 842-KER. And speaking of Congress, again, the pressure is mounting on Representative Tony Gonzalez. Oh, not that Tony Gonzalez, the greatest tight end who ever lived. Tony Gonzalez, he's a congressman out of Uvalde, I found out, where the shooting was. And essentially, as I've talked about all week, he had an affair, allegedly, with his staffer. Her name is, please stand by, had her in the rundown yesterday, I believe. Her name is, I don't have her name. I should, but I don't have her name. I have her husband's name because you're about to hear from him in just a second. He is Adrian Avila. He was on CNN with Aaron Burnett.
Look, I'm not saying he's the one that went out there and did it himself.
No, stop. I beg your pardon. I talked about it earlier, but I should have prefaced the fact not only did he have an affair with his staffer, allegedly, according to the husband, as you're about to hear, but she committed suicide. In fact, she engulfed herself in flames. And there's no question that it was a suicide. And why anyone would choose to die in that manner, who knows? But here's her husband who basically, well, I'll let you hear for yourself.
Look, I'm not saying he's the one that went out there and did it himself, and I'm not saying that, but yeah, he played a role in it. You know, he predatorized my wife, you know, and he pushed her to the sense of having an affair. I mean, I made that evident in the messages that I released.
Now, he's just told our Manu Raju, who's, of course, our Capitol Hill reporter, Gonzalez says, look, you guys haven't seen all the facts. There's going to be ample time for all of that to come out. Does this change anything for you when, you know, when you go back to that Friday night in May? Does him saying that mean anything?
Actually, it makes me even angrier because, again, he's deflecting. And, you know, the man has no values. You know, he runs his whole campaign on family values, and he runs everything, you know, saying that he's some family man. You know, he's actually quite of a sick man. You know, I have all the messages that's shared between them two. And, you know, the things that, you know, I just released a tip of the iceberg of the things that this man was telling her.
Which was, show me naughty pictures and blah, blah, blah. And she responds, I think this is out of bounds, boss, and this and that and this and that. They ended up having an affair, according to him. Meantime, you heard him, or I guess it was Aaron Barnett, allude to CNN's Manu Raju walking through the rotunda with Congressman Gonzalez. And let's talk about obfuscate. Check this out.
No. Are those text messages correct? Are they accurate?
I am not going to resign. I work every day. I work every day for the people of Texas.
So are those text messages? Are they accurate? Are those real text messages?
I am not going to resign. I'm not going to resign. I work every day for the people of Texas.
Did you carry it?
And there will be an opportunity for all the details and facts to come out. What you've seen is not all the facts.
Did you have an extramarital affair with the staff?
What you've seen is not all the facts, and there'll be an ample time for all of that to come out.
What are the facts? Can you address it right now? Your constituents want to know.
My constituents are not here in D.C. My constituents are back home in Texas.
I mean, isn't that amazing? That's your answer? Your constituents want to know whether you slept with a girl that led to her death. Well, my constituents aren't in D.C., they're in Uvalde, Texas. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure they've got cable. And I'm pretty sure they get CNN. And we're live, sir. It just, and no one asked you, sir, if you were going to stay in office. That wasn't the question. I'm pretty sure we can replay the audio, but I'm pretty sure Manu Raju is a great reporter. He's one of the few really good reporters at CNN. Did not ask you, are you staying in office, sir? Do you plan to quit, sir? He asked you, are the text messages that her husband put out there where you're asking for nude pictures of his wife, are they real? And the other question was, did you have an affair with this staffer? And his answer is, I'm not going to quit. Well, your constituents want to know. My constituents aren't here. What, in the Rotunda? In the District of Columbia? In the Virginia, Maryland, D.C. area? What are you talking about? That's why I'm so glad I'm not a reporter, because I'd be fired. I'd have no relationship, because, you know, I try to say these guys should be more aggressive, but Manu Raju has to deal with these guys on a daily basis. And you piss one of them off and you can't get access, and they're talking to MSN Now and Fox, but they won't talk to you because you jammed them up and said, look, dummy, I didn't ask you whether you're going to stay in office. I asked you if the text messages are real. I asked you if you had an affair. Why can't you answer a simple yes or no question? It's just amazing to me. And now I don't even know what to think of as a Republican who wants to win the midterms. Because again, if he resigns, which Lauren Boebert, Thomas Massey, and other Republicans are urging, despite the fact that there literally now is a one-person majority, meaning if he leaves, it's a tie. It's an absolute, there is no majority in the United States House. There are 4 seats that haven't been filled yet, including Marjorie Taylor Greene's. And if he leaves, there's no majority. And we're assuming, because like I said, the primary is next week, but voting is going on right now. So I can't imagine him winning the primary. It is a Texas Republican seat, but maybe the guy challenging him can't beat the challenger on the Democratic side. And here's the really bad news for Republicans who think that we're going to somehow keep the House and maybe keep the Senate. There was a report today that voter turnout in Texas is up for Republicans by 20%. So you're saying, well, then, Ralph, what's the bad news? Well, voter turnout for Democrats is up 130%. And this, of course, is in the wake, I can't remember the new congressman-elect's name, but a would-be, I think he was an influencer, who ran for Congress in a ridiculous race he had no business getting into because it was a Republican district that Trump carried by 17 points just a year ago. Just a year ago. So why a Democrat would even sign up to try to take out that congressman in that district? Well, guess what happened? The Democrat not only won, it was a blowout. It was Oklahoma City versus the Lakers. He switched it in a district which Trump carried by 17. He won by 14 points. Even a guy that got 480 on math SAT knows that's a 31-point swing. There might be some troubles in Texas. And all I know is John Cornyn is not going to be the senator coming out of Texas. He's the incumbent. He ain't going to win. I think it's Ken Barlow. Why do I keep forgetting this guy's name? The AG of Texas, who was leading by some 8-9 points. And Jasmine Crockett was winning by 8 or 9 points a couple of weeks ago. And then Stephen Colbert absolutely paratrooped into that election, parachuted into that election by inviting James Tallarico on his show. And you may remember CBS said, no, we're fearful of the fairness doctrine. So the short timer, he's done in May, hates CBS, despite the fact that they're paying him $10 million a year and have been for several years. He went off and put it on YouTube, where it got some 6 million views, and Tallarico earned $2.5 million in donations to his campaign. So now Jasmine Crockett, who is up by 8 points a week or two ago, isn't going to win that seat. No way in the world. James Tallarico is going to be the Democrat. And that's much to my chagrin because, like I said, I could beat Jasmine Crockett. She's a cartoon character. She's a joke who's been playing herself off as a Texan. She's not even from Texas. And she gets into this ethnic speak every now and again. I can't even. But we want Crockett to win, though. That's the problem. We want her to be the nominee, just like we want Newsom to be the nominee in 29 or 28, and we get Marco Rubio elected in 29. Well, actually, be like 28, be sworn in at 29. You got somebody on the phone?
I do, yes.
Who you got?
Bill.
Bill, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
Well, Ralph, this bill, there's a terrible saying from the old Louisiana governor, I think it was Blaze Edwards. He said they'd never get him out of office unless they found him in bed with either a live boy or a dead girl.
Yeah.
Like, there we are.
Yeah, I quoted that cliche a couple days ago. Yeah, he was involved in that stuff that took down Eddie DeBartolo, the former 49er owner.
There you go.
Down there in Louisiana. They were trying to set up a casino, and it was crooked as a hanger.
Yeah, the suicide of the wife is just terrible.
Isn't that horrible? Isn't that horrible? And this guy makes you, thank you for the call. And yeah, the congressman makes no allusion to the girl whenever he's talked about. You know, if I had a staffer that died and I was having an affair with her, I'd at least have the decency for the family to mention her in good stead every time I alluded to her. I would have, you know, how would I handle that with Manu Raju? I was like, Manu, you know what? A staffer is dead. And you're asking me about my congressional future? He could have flipped the script on Manu. But instead he just said, I'm not quitting. I'm not quitting. Of course you're not. You're leaving Congress, but you're not quitting. One way or another, this guy, you can't, when you've got people on your side of the aisle calling for your resignation, you can't win a primary. I don't care how many points he's up. That thing's going to swing. The only problem is, like I said, this is the reason we've got to do something about how states run elections. They've been voting in Texas now for like a week and a half. And this is why I say we should all vote. You should get rid of mail-in balloting. You should get rid of absentee balloting unless you're out of the country or in the military, et cetera, because things happen in the 11th hour of a campaign. And now the issue of this dead woman has reared its ugly head, and it may be too late. A philandering, no good congressman might possibly win, but I wouldn't bet on it. Quick timeout. We'll check the board. Bottom of the hour, we'll learn about Frederick Douglass in our penultimate Black History Month moment. Don't forget, we end up the week and the month of Black History chronicling the life of Ralph Emerson Bailey Sr. In the meantime, you're listening to TRBS right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM.
Adaptive.
We've
all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
The Kern Radio studios are powered by Adaptive Networks. For all your IT needs, call Adaptive Networks at 661-241-0638 or online at adaptive-net.com. Whether you're a small local company or a growing enterprise like American General Media, Adaptive Networks adapts to you, and nobody knows that better than us. That's why we signed up as a client of Adaptive Networks, because IT is so important to a radio station, and their incredible, precise, and immediate response is exactly what we need. And their customer-driven approach means you get exactly what you need, nothing more, nothing less. So don't settle for generic IT support. Call Adaptive Networks today at 241-0638 and discover what truly customized technology solutions can do for your business. Adaptive Networks, because your business is unique and your IT should be too. Visit them at adaptive-net.com or call them at 661-241-0638. And Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne will join us live next Wednesday right here on TRBS.
Crime is already skyrocketing in 2026. You may already own a firearm, but before you face the financial, legal, and emotional weight of pulling the trigger, there's a smarter option. Byrna. That's BYRNA. Byrna makes less lethal launchers that fire tear gas and kinetic rounds designed to stop an attacker for up to 40 minutes, giving you time to escape and call for help without deadly consequences. Their best-selling compact launcher is sleek, slim, and incredibly powerful. About the size of a smartphone, it's ideal for concealed carry, comfortable, discreet, and confidence building. It fires at 400 feet per second with serious stopping power, enough to shut down a threat fast without the legal and moral complexity of lethal force. Byrna is proudly American. Over 85% of components are U.S. sourced, and every launcher is hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. With over 750,000 sold worldwide, Byrna is best in class, and it's legal in all 50 states. No background checks, shipped straight to your door. Visit Byrna.com today and find the right launcher for your family. That's BYRNA.com.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.
Night. So next time you see me, I'll be short-haired and clean-shaven. Just depressed a little bit, though, Chris.
Why is that now?
Well, you know what is my ritual? Let's see how you know how well you know your host. What is my ritual when I go get my hair cut downtown?
You go to not Forgatti's. No, it's
That's a you.
I know, but I'm drawing a blank.
You
on the
still
name.
can't come up with the you?
No, I know what you're talking about, but for some reason, Eureka's, thank you.
Have you never been there?
No, I've been there, but again, for some reason, I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Can't do it. No pasta. Trying to get that A1C back in the fives. Jumped up to 6.5. That's unacceptable. That's absolutely unacceptable. So I'm eating cinnamon. I'm putting cinnamon on my avocados. Cinnamon will bring your A1C down. I'm putting it on everything, on my tomatoes. I eat tomatoes. I'm a very, very, very strange man. I really am. And I eat tomatoes like apples. I get a jigger of pepper. I take a bite, a little pepper. I take my bite with pepper. But now I'm throwing cinnamon on it, which really isn't that good. But I'm trying to keep up my cinnamon intake. There's another concoction. They say hot water and cinnamon before you go to bed will bring down your A1C. I'm just putting it on my food and dousing it down. Last half hour, we'll learn of Frederick Douglass when we come back.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Netflix is declining to raise its offer to buy Warner Brothers Discovery Studios and streaming business in a stunning move that effectively puts Paramount in a position to take over its storied Hollywood rival. On Thursday, after Warner's board announced that Skydance owned Paramount's offer was superior to the agreement it had previously struck with Netflix, the streaming giant said the new price that would be required to buy Warner is no longer financially attractive. The government of a deadly encounter between its troops and a boat carrying armed expatriates is casting a spotlight on Cubans living in the U.S. who still harbor aspirations of a counter-revolution 67 years after a guerrilla-inspired uprising. More at S.
Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
An upgrade for the Bakersfield Police. They're getting 29 interceptors at a cost of about $1.5 million, which was approved Wednesday by the Bakersfield City Council. That will allow them to replace 29 cars that have been on patrol for the past 13 years. Former Kern County Supervisor another month. The judge ruled this morning that he is in version and he is due to report back again March 20th. The Bakersfield Honor Guard is looking for new members to help provide the ceremonies at military funerals. They are asking veterans to consider joining, and they can be from any military branches. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
And we're back. Rob and Bob here once again for California Fruit Depot. Rob,
This is a commercial. We only have 60 seconds.
Okay.
We need to sell citrus
and nuts.
Dates, nuts, dried fruits. We need to tell people where we are as if they can't do it by Google. And if you don't know where we are by now,
You're not listening enough.
you're really not listening. Pay
Get in your
attention.
car, drive around, and
Here's
listen.
something that you're going to hate to get political. I would like to merge Kern County.
That's a great idea.
We can do a lot with it.
What took you so long?
They can use our resources. We can use their resources.
Oceanfront property for us.
Listen, oil, ag, and beach. Moving on. We need a tag phrase at California Fruit Depot.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The one we've been using is, it's just like Disney, but with only citrus.
I think it's too complicated, way too long.
And the cease and desist letters are stacking up high. Enough about this foolishness. Just visit California Fruit Depot. Come on out to Edison and say hi.
I mean, what a pro.
Friday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton show. We will update you on the absolute latest on Iran as it appears to become increasingly likely that we are going to be attacking there. Plus, believe it or not, the continued fallout from the U.S. Olympic team and the State of the Union. We will break all that down for you and take you into the weekend. Come hang with us on Clay and Buck.
Live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Armstrong and Getty Show. Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
Our penultimate Black History Month moment focuses on Frederick Douglass. Born Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey. Maybe Pop was right. February 14th, 1818. He was an American social reformer, abolitionist, orator, writer, statesman. He was the most important leader of the movement for African-American civil rights in the 19th century. He was Martin Luther King Jr. before Martin Luther King Jr. After escaping from slavery in Maryland in 1838, Douglass became a national leader of the abolitionist movement in Massachusetts and New York and gained fame from his oratory and incisive anti-slavery writings. Accordingly, he was described by abolitionists in his time as a living counterexample to claims by supporters of slavery that enslaved people lacked the intellectual capacity to function as independent American citizens. You know, that was one of the arguments of slavery. If we free these people, what are they going to do? They're not smart enough or human enough, because literally in the 18th century and the 19th century, they thought that African Americans did not have souls. Not making that up. Northerners at the time found it hard to believe that such a great orator had once been enslaved. It was in response to this disbelief that Douglass wrote his first autobiography. Douglass wrote 3 autobiographies, of which all 3 I've read, describing his experience as an enslaved person in his first Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave, which became a bestseller and was influential in promoting the cause of abolition in 1845, as was his second book, My Bondage and My Freedom. Following the Civil War, Douglass was an active campaigner for the rights of freed slaves and wrote his last, and in my opinion, best autobiography, Life and Times of Frederick Douglass. First published in 1881 and revised in 1892, 3 years before his death, the book covers his life up to those dates. Douglass was actively supported in women's suffrage as well, and he held several public offices. Without his knowledge or consent, Douglass became the first African American nominated for vice president of the United States. Bet you didn't know that. As the running mate of Victoria Woodhull on the Equal Rights Party ticket. They got about 12 votes. I made that up. Douglass believed in making alliances across racial and ideological divides, as well as the anti-slavery interpretation of the U.S. Constitution, after he had broken with William Lloyd Garrison. When radical abolitionists, under the motto, quote, no union with slaveholders, criticized Douglass's willingness to engage in dialogue with slave owners, he replied, I would unite with anybody to do right and with nobody to do wrong. Frederick Douglass and Annie Murray Douglass settled in Bedford, Massachusetts in 1838, moving to Lynn, Massachusetts in 1841. After meeting and staying with Nathan and Mary Johnson, they adopted Douglass as their married name, Douglas had grown up using his mother's surname of Bailey. Just saying. After escaping slavery, he had changed his surname first to Stanley and then to Johnson. And in New Bedford, the latter was such a common name that he wanted one that was more distinctive and asked Nathan Johnson to choose a suitable surname. And Nathan suggested Douglas after having read the poem The Lady of the Lake by Walter Scott, in which two of the principal characters have the surname Douglas. Douglas thought of joining a white Methodist church, but was disappointed from the beginning upon finding that it was segregated. Later, he joined the African American Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, an independent black denomination, first established in New York City, which counted among its members Sojourner Truth, somebody I probably should have highlighted during this month, and Harriet Tubman, of course, known for the Underground Railroad. He became a licensed preacher in 1839, which helped him hone his oratorical skills. He held various positions, including steward, Sunday school superintendent, which my grandmother was, and sexton. In 1840, Douglas delivered a speech in Elmira, New York, then a station in the Underground Railroad, in which a black congregation would form years later, becoming the region's largest church by 1940. Trying to get to the end of his life here on his biography. Stay with me. Why isn't this in categories? I am at a loss. This should be in there it is, there it is, there it is. On February 20th, 1895, Douglas attended a meeting of the National Council of Women in Washington, D.C. During that meeting, he was brought to the platform and received a standing ovation. Shortly after he returned home, Douglas died of a heart attack. Because of the exact date of his birth is unclear, he would have been either 76 or 77. His funeral was held at the Metropolitan African Methodist Episcopal Church. Although Douglas had attended several churches in the nation's capital, he had a pew here and had donated 2 standing candelabras when his church had moved to a new building in 1886. He also gave many lectures there, including his last major speech, The Lessons of the Hour. Douglas's coffin was transported to Rochester, New York, where I have several cousins that live there, where he had lived for 25 years, longer than any other place in his life. His body was received in state at City Hall, flags were flown at half-mast, and schools were adjourned. He was buried next to Anna in the Douglas family plot of Mount Hope Cemetery. Helen was also buried there in 1903. His grave is with that of Susan B. Anthony, the most visited in the cemetery. A marker erected by the University of Rochester and other friends described him as, quote, escaped slave, abolitionist, suffragist, journalist, statesman, and founder of the civil rights movement in America. Frederick Augustus Bailey Douglas, one of the greatest African Americans, my Mount Rushmore, if you're going to ask me. Sadie Bailey, my paternal grandmother. Martin Frederick Douglass, Jackie Robinson. And yeah, I had to leave my dad off. My grandmother's a little bit higher than my dad because my grandmother was just a saint. It just wasn't I never met anybody until I met my grandmother who was just genuinely good. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she was beloved in the, I was a celebrity in Beaufort South. That's one of the reasons I loved going to Beaufort. I was a local celebrity. I could go around and all I had to do was say, I'm Charlie Sadie Bailey's grandson. You Charlie Sadie Bailey's grandson? Well, boy, come on here and get some pieces of sweet potato pie. You really say, so you must be Ralph's boy. What's your name? Ralph. He named you Ralph? He put that on you too? We used to give him trouble when he was a little boy named Ralph. Who named the boy Ralph? I said, well, you know, my uncle's name is Irvin. And they would crack up. That was always my standing joke. But it happened to me the last time I was in Beaufort. I told you guys the story. I went down to Beaufort, about 4, 5, 6 years ago now. It's probably been longer than that. I just can't keep track of time. And I just wanted to go on a walk. You know, Beaufort's not that large, and my uncles live downtown. So I went and walked down Main Street. And I went to our church that we went to. Oh my God, I forgot the name of the church. It's not Ebenezer. That's in Atlanta. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot my grandmother's church. where my grandfather on my maternal side was once the preacher. And if my mother knew I had forgotten the name of that church, she would smack me the back of the head. Tabernacle. Tabernacle Church in Beaufort, South Carolina. And I was wandering around and got lost. I was walking and walking and walking. I got lost. And there was this old black man chopping wood. I mean, that's the South. He was literally chopping wood in his front yard. And I said, "Excuse me, sir, can you tell me how to get to North Street?" And he said, "You're not from here?" I said, "No, sir, I'm visiting my relatives." "Who you know on North Street?" I said, "Well, my dad was born on North Street, but his two brothers still live there, 1010 North Street." "So you a Bailey?" I said, "Yes, sir." Which one are you?" Because my uncle now has two boys, because I was the only boy up until like 30, 34 years ago. And he said, "I'm Ralph Jr." He said, "What? You Ralph's little boy? You know, we were in the Navy together." And I must have spent 20 minutes talking to this old man. He was in an old wife beater, just chopping wood. And he invited me in for breakfast. It was about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. "Come on in here and have some eggs and grits." I was like, "I'd love to, sir, but I'm about to head back up to Atlanta." And I just, they were just, my grandfather was mean as a snake, but he was loving. It's where my dad, I told you, my father never told me he loved me. My father never hugged me, but he took me to Morehouse my freshman year. He took me around Atlanta, took me down Auburn Avenue, which used to be the main street for black people back in the day. And he showed me where his dorm room was. He showed me where Dr. King's dorm room was. He showed me the spot where it's been alleged he first kissed my mom. And then he helped me with my trunk. And we were sitting around in my dorm room. My roommate hadn't been arrived yet. We sat there for about 5 minutes. And he stood up and he said, "Well, I'm out of here. Good luck. Make us proud. Call me if you need any money." And walked out the door. And I'm 17. I just turned 18 that summer, that August. And I'm just like, what the hell have I gotten into? I'm 3,000 miles away from anybody I know. And then I went downstairs and played basketball with Brett Mason, who was about 5'9". And I thought I had some skills. And the boy beat me 11-4, 11-5. He's 5'9". And just to really dig it into me, he's 5'9", Chris, and he dunked on my ass. I was like, how is that humanly I can barely touch the bottom of the net, and I'm 5'11". And dude was like, okay, let's say even if he was 5'11", even if it was my height, Brett was like this on me, and he dunked on me. And I remember feeling so stupid. I said, "Hey, do you play for Morehouse?" He's like, "Are you going crazy? I could never make the Morehouse team." And that was the seminal moment. What did I say to myself at that moment, Chris?
I'm not an athlete.
I was never an athlete. I was convinced, because I could, at Brentwood and Buckley, I played everything, and I was at least one of the stars, if not the star. And that moment I realized, no, Ralph, you were playing with a bunch of rich, entitled white kids that couldn't play basketball if their life depended on it. And you were barely better than them. And now this guy from Macon, Georgia, is dunking on my ass and beat me 11-4, 11-5. You want to play another one? No, I've taken my ass whooping. I'm going to go back and lay up in my dorm. I'm not going to sit down here and in the very same gymnasium where I did not cast my very first presidential vote. Another Ralph Bailey story. We're all lined up in the gym getting ready to vote. It's a cold night in November. And my roommate, George Gathers, comes down because when you're a freshman, I don't know if you remember college, or I don't know if this is the way you did it, but at Morehouse, the dorms were like competitive. I can't explain it. Like the Graves Hall was like an honor dorm or a legacy dorm, where if your parents or dad went to Morehouse, you stayed there. That's the reason certainly not because I was an honor student with my 2.75, 2.8 GPA. But, and you kind of did everything together. And then among the dorms, the floors were kind of segregated. Like I stayed on the third floor. So the third floor guys, if somebody was going to go do something, they'd be like, "Hey guys, we're going down to vote. Y'all want to come?" And so we'd kind of go down in a group, and George got there late. So he came down later and said, "Hey, Tom Brokaw just said Reagan's won." And it was like 7 o'clock East Coast time, meaning it's 4:30. on the West Coast. And that's what stopped that trend, where after that election in 80, the news departments decided we're not going to announce the winner until all of the election sites are closed, even on the West Coast. And so, it's 7:05 and he's telling us the race is over. So we were all like, what the hell are we standing in this damn hot gym for? Let's get the hell out of here. And we went back up to our room. It's the only time I've never voted for president, the first time I had the opportunity to do so. Thought I'd share that with you. Let's go ahead and take our final break of the day. Coming back on a Friday, we just might talk to the folks up in Big Bear tomorrow. I'm going to send out an email and see if we can get them on. Jackie and Shadow, our favorite couple, the pair of eagles up in Big Bear, have hatched, well, not hatched, but she's laid another egg. So we want to talk with them, but we'll certainly talk with Rick Bentley at 3:30. And the only reason, haven't you realized why Brandon Lang came on last week?
Was to tell you that he wasn't going to make the tournament?
Yeah, that's the only reason he came on. That's the only reason he came on. And I didn't even dig into him, the fact that he had called me a couple of days before that to ask me when the tournament was. But no Brandon Lang, which is too bad because apparently I'm playing this year. And we're going to be auctioning off 2 spots in our foursome. It'll be me, Mr. Flores, and perhaps 2 of you. March the 23rd, a Monday at Bakersfield Country Club. Just go to honorflightopen.com. Final break of the night. Keep it locked. It's TRBS right here on Newstalk 96.1 at AM 1180 KERN, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
On Friday's Armstrong and Getty Show, a blockbuster gender-bending madness report. Plus, what was it like to be part of Mamdani's communist?
Whenever you're ready.
Lord. You ready? You ready? 3, 2. So the Public Policy Institute of California has come out with another gubernatorial survey. And do you realize that there has never been a Democrat leading this thing yet? Eric Swalwell has now fallen to 4th. Katie Porter has moved up, but Steve Hilton is still atop of the list. And Sheriff Chad Bianco is right there in 3rd. I'm telling you, there is a possibility that 2 of them could make the general, but there's a likelihood that at least one of them will. But we've got to get out and vote. 3, 2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Friday TRBS. Well, you know the drill. Of course, Rick Bentley will be with us coming up at 3:30. And we might talk with the folks from Big Bear Valley. Our favorite couple, Jackie and Shadow, a pair of eagles, have had yet another egg laid. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more on the Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. I'll see you at 3. Chris.
7 bankruptcies are all we do. We can help you erase credit card debt, medical bills, personal loans, even past due utility bills. Find out if you qualify at no cost and with no obligation. Go to csbk.com. This is an attorney advertisement. Your results may vary, and prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome. Clean Slate BK Group PC, located at 7 Penn Plaza, Suite 601, New York, New York 10001, is responsible for the content of this ad. For more information, visit csbk.com. That's csbk.com. Your clean slate starts here.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
842-5376, 842-KERN. Does anybody give a damn about Mayweather Pacquiao?
No.
I read that and I was like, you'd be better off fighting Mike Tyson. I thought he was going to fight Tyson first.
He is.
So he really is going to fight Tyson?
Yeah, he's fighting Tyson first.
And then he's going to fight Pacquiao.
Yep.
Who's probably, please stand by. Hey, Siri, how old is Manny Pacquiao? He's 47 years old.
I thought he was older, to be honest.
I did too. I thought he was in his 50s. What kind of victory is that? I just beat a 47. How old is Mayweather?
He's in his 40s, too.
Hey, Siri, how old is Floyd Mayweather?
I found this on the web.
He's about to turn 49.
He's older?
Yeah, he's older. I would have never guessed. I thought
he was older than Pacquiao.
I didn't either. 49 years old and trying to fight. Really?
He's coming out of retirement from what he says.
What does he need the money?
Yes.
He can't need the money. Didn't he just make like $500,000? Well, maybe that's why. Just made $500,000 Super Bowl bet, and I think he had the Pats. Freaking idiot. You know what we have not talked about is Cardi B dumping what's his name at halftime?
Stephon Diggs?
Yeah.
I don't know if it happened at halftime or if they.
No, it happened at halftime. Don't you know what broke him up finally?
I haven't heard anything, to be honest.
He invited his, because he's got now 5 baby mamas. 5 baby mamas. Like, how these guys aren't running around with STDs, I have never figured out, because these guys in the 21st century, all of them run around not using condoms, which is so mind-boggling to me, particularly given the women that they hang out with. They know that they're kind of like jumping around. Like you always hear they're sleeping with somebody that used to sleep with this wide receiver or this running back or this basketball player, and it's just like, ugh. But he invited his latest baby mama, pre-Cardi B, and she was in the front row, and she mouthed visually enough for you to see, "I love you." And didn't you hear the story?
I had not.
And that she spent like $1 million on a Super Bowl party, and she cut out at halftime and said, "I'm out," when she found out the baby mama was there, and she ain't looking back. He's just a crumb. He really is. You think he's coming back to the Pats?
Yeah, probably.
I don't think so. You look at his playoff record throughout his career, even at his height, he seems to kind of disappear. And he didn't do anything in the Super Bowl. He didn't do anything. I don't know. That in the wake of Pink, what used to be one of my favorite artists, breaking up with her husband, Corey Hart. Hate to hear that. And did you hear what happened at KTLA down in Los Angeles, Channel 5? And the only reason I bring it up is because Nexstar, which owns KTLA, also owns Channel 17 here locally. And they let go 5 of some of those popular on-air talents. I don't know about you all, but I watch KTLA on the regular. And Mark Kriske, the weather guy who had to go through all kind of facial stuff because he got old, because he's been there literally since I was like, he's been there like 30, 40 years. They whacked his ass. And they whacked some other popular anchors that have been there for years. And journalism, tough business. Tough business. What are you going to do? Let's read a couple of text messages, and I'm going to go get my hair cut.
Let's see. After getting a new bill with $22 million yesterday, the city council is still going to spend $1.5 million on new cars and $2.2 million to the Open Door network. Where's this money coming from? Someone please cut the credit card.
That's what I asked Mr. Turnipseed. how are we spending this money? We've got a sewer situation that we're facing. You're about to get a letter in the mail. It's going to ask you to vote yes or no on whether you should up your sewer rate. I'm going to keep you updated on that because it's going to come in a very minuscule thing. So they hope that you throw it away because they need 51% of you to say no. And I know that if you got it, you know what it was, you would vote no. I think it would be 70-30 if everybody gets it and actually acts on it. But what the city is counting on and all their ineptness and incompetence is that it's just a tiny thing in the mail and either you throw it away or ignore it or don't fill it out and send it back. But you've got to take this seriously if you want to cut off the purse strings, because you're right. They spend like drunken sailors. I mean, I'm happy for Lauren Skidmore, the executive director of the Open Door Network, but did we really need to give them $2.5 million? And you're right. We're in debt. We're in it just baffles the mind how incredibly inept our municipal government is. It really, really is. And I'm just happy. I am praying. I'm rooting for a lot of Democrats in these primaries and in some of these elections because I am praying to God that Andre Gonzalez gets elected to the assembly and we can get his blue suit, green suit wearing ass off our city council. Andre's a nice man. He truly is. I don't dislike Andre. He's not very good at his job. I'm sure many of you think the same thing. Ralph's a nice guy, but I don't think he's a very good radio talk show host. Okay, I'll take that. And that's the case with Andre. He's a nice guy. I've always liked Andre. I've never had a problem with him. Not personally. Professionally, he's inept. He's a do-nothing. And he's a talker. And I've told you the classic story. And my friend heard it. The person that told me this said, I heard you allude to my story. And I didn't name his name, and I'm not going to name his name. But he was down, I think it was last Thanksgiving, doling out food on Thanksgiving, as some people are wont to do. And Andre showed up. Oh, he showed up. He did interviews with all three stations in his blue suit and didn't pick up a ladle, didn't pick up a spoon, a fork, anything, didn't dole out any food, just came, said hi, shook some hands, did 3 quick interviews, and was out the back door. That's Councilman Andre Gonzalez. That's why I'm rooting. Let him be a part of the majority. Go to Sacramento, Andre. Just get the hell away from our city leadership, please, sir. Please, we beg of you, we beseech you. That's going to do it. I want to thank Lauren Skidmore for joining us earlier in the broadcast, Michael Turnipseed and Daniel Petrie. Any portion of the show you missed, just go to YouTube. You can watch it over again. In the meantime, for Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. I will rap to you tomorrow.
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton concluded 6 hours of testimony today before the House Oversight Committee. James Comer, the Republican chairman of the committee, says its interest is to attain transparency, not prosecution.
I think we all agree the government failed. The government failed the victims. And what our role is, we can't prosecute anyone. But what we have been doing is getting transparency to the American people.
Committee ranking member Robert Garcia says he wants President Trump to sit for a deposition.
I hope that Chairman Comer and the Republicans will join us in demanding that the person who actually appears more times